Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave, joined once again by my friend Vin. Vin, welcome back.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
It's been a crazy summer, as it usually is, especially with the heat. 90 degrees doesn't make you want to do anything.
I was out on a course yesterday, and it was
Oh,
humid.
oh, man.
It was so humid in its bend. It was kind of wild because the rough was like sticky rough.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like really hard to advance the ball, but I was more concerned with the humidity. I'm not a kid anymore, but all good.
Anyway, ways to get a hold
Excuse
of
me.
us. Digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the text line. Digitaltodice at yahoo.com is the email. Over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. This is going to be episode 278, and we're going to be talking about constructive criticism tonight. And this kind of spirals off a big discussion we had on our Facebook group this week, where we won't mention names. We don't have to mention names, but someone in the community went off on some of the negative things about some of the games that we all play. And that just prompted a huge discussion. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about, again, negativity, maybe complaints, maybe criticism, and maybe how we should handle some of that stuff, and maybe why some people post that stuff and why people don't. We're going to get into all of that here in 278. We are in front of a live chat room tonight on YouTube, and we may or may not read some of those comments on there. It depends what they are. Okay, let's just say it that way. We usually like to talk about what's going on in the chat room, but if it's gonna depends how it goes, and this could go many different ways. So let's just say that um, we may or may not read some of the things in the chat room tonight, but we hope to at some point here. Before we get into that, I say, Finn, why don't we talk about what we're playing? What do you think?
Okay. I've been
All right, why don't you kick it off, Finn? What have you been doing?
I've been gaming. It's been
Nice.
fun. Continue my series with 49 quick highlights. 49 highlights. I get them
Yeah,
all confused.
yeah,
Sorry,
me too.
Brent. Um, but I'm in my Kings Edmonton series, and it looks like the Kings they have a 3-2. Great games, but it's that's been fun. I'm tempted to get bank shot out. I'm trying to work on a tournament that I could do. Continued my tournament with matchup college football, and my payoff pitch Nolan Ryan 1973 replay. That's been the extent of my gaming.
Well, it's a lot. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let me see. I did play with you. I played a little bit of matchup football as well. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with that. I'm trying to work everything into the game. I just was playing real basic the other night because that's how I learn. I got to start real basic and then add I don't want to call it the extras or the advanced stuff, but I just try to go real basic and just get the game to flow, get the basics out of the way,
Yep.
and that's what I was trying to do when I played Dynasty League Baseball Wednesday night with Mike Sislinski. I just was like, let's just kind of roll some dice and get some things going, and then if we hit a snag, then we can get into the snags and get down the rabbit holes. But I just want to kind of get the games moving. So I did play some Dynasty League baseball with him on Wednesday night. A little bit of matchup football. I pulled out season ticket football and played a little bit of that the other day. I guess I've been kind of in a football mood, if you will. I did play another game of my 1976 Red Sox payoff pitch project.
Nice.
I think the Red Sox won that one actually. That's been kind of fun. I've really been enjoying that. And why I did 76 Vin is because that's the year after the World Series and
Right.
they weren't that good that year. But I want to see how I do with them in payoff pitch, and so far they're doing quite well. I know
Okay.
that wasn't Juckett tells me that 76 wasn't a good year for the Sox, but I'm still playing it anyway and trying to have some fun with that. Anything else on the table? Obviously, more highlight hockey. Quick Dex highlight. I call it Quick Dex highlight hockey, but it's
See,
49 highlight
that's what
hockey.
I
I know.
called it.
I
That's
know
it.
it's kind of crazy how that works. I think I did get a game of Apple hockey on the table. I played 75-76 Bruins Kings playoff game one. The Kings won in overtime, I think. So it was
Okay.
that series went 7 in real life, if you can believe it. So that was I think that was the Orless series. I don't think Orr was playing at that point. And so
No,
uh,
he was done.
Yeah, so I play a little bit of that, which was kind of fun. And I'm trying to figure out a stock project for highlight hockey. And what I mean by that is I know I like to go into Excel and manipulate the rosters and play some as played lineups, and maybe who played in the playoffs, kind of get those rosters on there. But I wanted to do something with some of the seasons that I have that came printed for me, all pre-printed from Grant. And so I'm thinking about maybe just doing like a King of the Hill, like Joe Card said, or a double elimination, and just use the stock teams. And that way there I can just kind of put them on the table, and I'm not spending all the time in Excel creating them, just so I can get them on the table.
Right, right.
You ever do that? You ever try to get something on your table, and just so you can get it on your table, so to speak? It's just like, I got this game or I got this season, and I don't really want what I want to do with it, but I really should get it on the table and play a little bit.
Yeah. But I think I mentioned this to you and Joe as we were chatting the other night, that when I first started playing my games, they didn't have all these entire rosters and cards. It was mainly a
Yeah.
Stratomatic guy,
Yep.
and they had 20 players in baseball. When the hockey game first came out, you had, I forget how many. That's how I played it.
Yeah.
I didn't look to have, the guys that didn't play a lot. Well, they had to play. I might have sat them a game or two here, but I don't even think I did that. And I used to play 50 games. I used to take like the top 16 or 12 teams when I started, maybe 12. I played 50 game seasons, and those guys were the ones that played. Some played more than others, and some didn't, but I didn't care. I had fun with it. A lot of fun. I played up until the 83, 84 season.
Really?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying
My
to
wife used to play.
trying to share my screen here, Vin. So last night I did a quick chat. I get on and just talked about a couple of things that I've been getting lost in my games I've been playing. It's just been kind of weird that I play these games and I look up, it's like, holy cow, I'm in the seventh inning. And I mean, I've been enjoying the game, but I've been so focused on the results that I really wasn't enjoying the game, if that makes sense at all. And I did that with hockey. It's like, holy cow, I'm in the third period already. And I didn't realize that because I've been just kind of recording all the results. But anyway, last night, while I was doing the chat, okay, this guy here, okay, was right outside my window. Okay.
Dave, maybe they're interested in gaming because they're getting closer and closer.
Do you see that bush on the right? That's my window. Where I am right now, that bush is right in front of my window. So at 9:13, while I was doing this, he was right outside my window. If I lifted the shade, I would have seen him.
Looked like he was listening for something.
I mean, is that's how close they are, And I'm, you guys are sick of probably hearing me talk about coyotes,
Well, at least you're not crying wolf.
Yeah. My buddy Ray actually, down in Connecticut, who does the You're on the Layout podcast, he just sent me a picture of someone sitting outside in like this outside chair in their backyard, and 15 feet away from him was a bobcat sitting on the edge of the woods. And I was like, is that a fox or a bobcat? He goes, it's a bobcat. It's like,
they're beautiful.
Yeah, I wouldn't want. We've had them around here on occasion, but I wouldn't want to run into a bobcat. But anyway, so that was right outside my window here. If I rolled up the shade, I could have seen him. He would have waved to me, and he would have seen him, give a little nod. But that's how close they are to my house, and I don't like it. I really don't.
I tell you, make noise.
Yeah,
just make loud noise.
My concern is that it's right at the corner of my house, and so when I'm walking into my house, that's on the left. So if they come around, if he was standing there, I'd see him when I'm walking in my house, and I don't know what I wouldn't want him to come anywhere near me. Just
if you
stay away.
Consistently make noise, they'll move away.
Yeah,
because they'll say, "Hey, it's always noisy there. Something's going on."
Well, that's the other thing is we don't have a dog out back anymore since my dog, died back in February, I think it was. So we got chipmunks and rabbits and squirrels taking over the backyard because there's no predator out there for them. Right. And so now, maybe the coyote, if we had the dog out there, the coyotes wouldn't want to be around him. Not that he was a big dog, but he was just creating noise. But so all the coyote jokes in the chat room here. But that's what I run into. That's a big boy out there. He's probably got to be 50 or 60 pounds. He's not a slim coyote at all. But anyway, all right, so we did the coyote update. We did what we're playing. Should we jump right into the topic of the day? All right. So in our Facebook group, actually, it was today, I think. Was it today or yesterday? I forget which one it was.
Yesterday.
It was yesterday. Yeah, somebody went in and just out of the blue created this long post talking about many of the games that we all play, mostly cards and dice games, and just kind of gave a little rip to each one of them about what they didn't like about the game, and it brought up this big discussion. And some people were like, "Yeah, it's about time we talk about the bad things about these games." It's kind of what it was. And a lot of people said, "Well, I agree with you. It's too bad we can't talk about it." And so that's what we want to talk about tonight. If you got a problem with the game, let's talk about that, okay? And Ron and I, for many many years, for was it 6 years now that Ron did the show with me, we made it a point to we didn't want to make this a negative show, okay? We didn't want to come on here and say this game stinks, or this game's good. We didn't want to do that, and a couple reasons. One of them being that if I don't like a game, doesn't mean that you're not going to love it.
Right.
So if I come on and say this game is trash, I don't like it, and nothing about this game I like, well, I'm kind of putting the game down. But that's going to be someone else's favorite game. So who am I? Who am I to come on here and say it sucks? Now I can talk about some of the things I don't like about it, and maybe but again, some of the things that I don't like, somebody else might. Like, there's a game that I play. It's a hockey game. And Ron can't stand it. Ron does not like this game. I really like it. And we have this discussion all the time. And he's like, "It's funny that you really like this game, Dave, and I don't." And so he just doesn't talk about it because he doesn't want to get on there and say it stinks because I really like it. So we all have different opinions on games.
Yep.
And so it doesn't make much sense for me to come on the show or my channel and tear a game apart for the game itself. Now, there's some things you can talk about, but there's ways of handling it. Like, one of the things you can talk about is some of the intangibles, like seasons. Let's just talk about seasons for a second, okay? So let's just say you got this game and they only have 5 or 6 seasons. Well, you could say that, say, "Boy, it's a great game, but boy, I wish they had more seasons." Instead of, "Well, this game, forget this game because they only have 5 seasons, so don't bother playing it. I'm not going to play it." There's 2 different ways of handling that.
Yeah.
There really is. Now, a lot of times, I need to be fair because I've said this on the show. A lot of times, if I look at a game, the first thing I check is seasons because we all have our checkbox, right? Especially with a new game. Now, whether it's brand new or it's whether one we haven't played, it's still going to be new to us. We have a checkbox. And for me, the amount of seasons is one of the boxes I like to check. And so if I see a game and it's only got a couple of seasons in my wheelhouse, I tend to shy away from a game like that because what if I really like this game and now I only get 1 or 2 seasons to play? I'm going to be bumming because I want more and I don't have it.
Right.
So, a good example is, Apple Hockey. I saw how many seasons Apple Hockey had. They had pretty much all of them, at least, in the times that I want to play. And I says, if I can make this game work, I have access to basically every player in every season that I would want to play. Can I make this game work? And I struggled with Apple Hockey for a little while until, I got some help from the community and, Mike Berger and guys like that. And we really fine-tuned the Apple Hockey to a point where I really love that game now. And they have, I have a ton of seasons for it. So I made that game work because of the seasons thing. So seasons are a big deal. But, like a game like 49 Highlight Hockey, they don't have a ton of seasons, but he's got enough, and I know he's going to make more. And they just released 78, 79. And so that'll keep me going for a bit, knowing that he's not stopping making seasons. He's going to continue doing that when he can. So, I mean, there's a way to handle that, the constructive criticism about, seasons, let's say.
Right.
I think the other thing that comes into play, Vint, is passion. We're all passionate. We all have a favorite game. And we don't like when someone talks ill about our favorite game. and we get defensive about that.
Some people get very defensive.
Yeah, and so that's another reason that I don't like to really talk negative about games, is because if I come on here and say, the X baseball game, boy, this really sucks because this, that, and the other thing, that's going to be someone's favorite game, and now we're going to have problems. They're going to come and they're going to defend that game because it's their favorite game. I go, what are you talking about? And I want to avoid that. I don't want to have that.
I get that. And in a sense, aren't we insulting the person that plays it when we do that?
Just because we don't like it.
Right. Right. I mean, if a person like says, "Oh, that game stinks," but I love that game. Well, yeah, but it stinks. So my taste in something stinks. So you're a vegetarian and I'm like a meat eater. So you're like an idiot. I'm the idiot. Who's the idiot? Nobody.
Yeah.
You enjoy what you enjoy, and people don't understand. This is not politics, which
Right.
you know my feeling about politics. Like, you want to talk to somebody, go upstairs, talk to my wife. I have it because it's a divider.
Yes.
People don't want to talk about religion. I'm not a religious guy. I'm a spiritual guy. I'm born again. I try to live like that. I don't knock other people's beliefs. I pray they would come to whatever it has to be, but they're not idiots for what they believe. You're not an idiot for what you enjoy playing.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to you. What
Yeah.
can I do to help you enjoy it? Listen, I lost my taste with track games, right? I have them in case I ever get a taste, but I've been blessing people who love them. I try to give them to them. They're not idiots. It served my purpose for a long time. I have different wants and desires in a game now. Does that make me am I no good? Am I a turncoat? Because those certain groups will really rip you apart. Like, how can you think of turning? And this,
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. I don't like it. I feel like if you never approach the company, because there's not a company out there that I know of that's not going to take constructive criticism. Send them an email. Try even calling them. I bet you have a conversation with them. It might not change your opinion on the game, but you might give them an idea. I know a lot of companies out there that get bashed, but yet they've taken a lot of their customer base's ideas and added some wonderful features to a lot of their games. I don't know anybody out there, Dave, the single game creator like Keith and like Grant and like ST that don't, from the biggest companies, from the oldest, Stratton Apple, that, John Hirschman's a little different, but hey, he earned the right. He's almost 80 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he will still engage you and let you know where he stands.
Yeah. Like it or not. But
Right.
Yeah. And I have the same thing because I run hockey leagues, as you guys know. I run hockey leagues. I can change the rules anytime I want. They're my leagues, okay? And I'll have people that'll come up once in a while. And there was a time we play roller hockey, and we used to every time it went over the glass and hit the netting, we would blow the play dead. And I remember one year, it's going back like 15 years or maybe 20 years ago, where we were having a captain's meeting. And one of the captains says, "What if we played it off the netting? Because it just comes right back down." And I says, if the ball stays in play, we just keep playing. It's less whistles, it's more action, and we don't have to keep stopping. And I said, well, why don't we try it? I says, I never thought of that. I never thought about playing the ball if it hits the netting and comes back down. And we do that now. And people love it because the game keeps playing. It's a runtime clock. You want to play. You don't want to keep stopping because it's a small rink. The ball kept going out. And for 15 or so years now, that's been the rule. We play it off the netting. If it hits the ceiling, we're done. But if it hits the netting, comes out, we play it, and the game moves on. So I listened to what somebody said, and we made a major rule change. And some leagues frown on that, and I think we're the only league that does that. But our guys love it. It's like arcade hockey. We have a good time.
XHL, baby.
Yeah, it's what it is. But it works for us. There's a few weird rules that we have, but it works. And that wasn't even my idea. That was from someone else.
Right.
And I said, so I took that constructive criticism. I don't even know if it was a criticism, but he just said, what do you think about this? And so I bet if you approach somebody and said, hey, what do you think about this? They might have a reason why they don't do it. And I've had that too. I've had someone come up and say, well, why don't we do this? And I'll be like, well, because of this. And like, oh yeah, I never really thought of that.
Right.
So as someone in the business who's probably thought things down the line, you know, they'll have reasons why they won't want to do this. So if you say, well, why can't you do this? They might say, well, because I tried that and this was the result. So that's why I don't do this. And whether it's a game mechanic or whether it's how they produce their things or whatever it is, so I think you're right. I think you approach these people with your complaints in a nice way. If you don't just rip them a new one, if you contact them.
But think about it, buddy. If I come to you and I'm coming to you with an attitude and everything, you're going to walk away.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
But if I come to you like a gentleman and we have a grown up discussion, it still might not sway you, but at least we were in a conversation
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tried to change something, uh, even things out, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. But you can't do it. And I learned that because I'm pretty hot headed when I'm out there. And I've learned that over the years that you can't do it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to you being a hothead.
Yeah, there was a guy the other night. It was in overtime, and there was a collision, and both guys went real hard for the ball, and one guy ducked to get it, and one guy and his I think his elbow hit the guy that was diving down, hit him in the head, hit him in the face, and the game ended. He goes, "Oh, so hitting people in the face with your elbows legal in this league now?" And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do to that? What do you want me to say to that? It's like you ask a stupid question. So I just gave him a look. He's like, "Oh, you think it's funny?" I'm just like, no, what I think it is what am I supposed to do with that question? Oh, you can elbow people in the face now and that's legal. No, you can't. You're being a jerk about it and you're mad
Right.
that you and another guy collided. Okay? If he come up to you and he elbows you in the face, that's different than two people colliding. And you took the worst of it. And so it's the same kind of thing. He come up and if he had come up and says, Dave, that guy hit me in the face with his elbow. I would have said, look, I watched the whole thing. You guys both went hard. Nobody gave up. When you went low, you were at his elbow height, and I thought that's why the contact was made. But he didn't give me the chance.
Right.
He just went into blah, 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 poor me, poor my.
Right.
And so yes, we couldn't have a discussion at that point. And so I think you hit it right on that if you have a normal discussion, a calm discussion about something, maybe you will trigger something and they're like, oh yeah, that's something to think about. Or maybe they'll say, hey, we tried that, but we can't do it this way because of X, Y, and Z. And you might not like the answer.
There's no bad blood after that.
Yep. When
what it is.
we had when we had John Herson on the show from APA, we had a long talk about football and how many cards in football you don't really use that much. And he said we tried it, but people wanted to have everybody. So that's why we went back to carding everybody instead of just having a defensive team chart or something like that, even though it might have made the game cheaper. But he did at least give us the answer. He answered it. He didn't duck the question. And he says, we tried that and our people didn't like it, so we didn't do it anymore. He answered the question, and we didn't fight about it. We didn't argue about it. And it wasn't like, part of you thought, boy, it'd be nice to try it again, but he said he tried it and it didn't work. So you got to take him at his, either that, or maybe it just wasn't worth the effort to do something. Sometimes you have companies that are like, yeah, but if I tried to do that, or if I tried to make this season or try to make this league, what would I sell? 20 seasons? It wouldn't be worth, the weeks of time I need to put in to do this. So I think approaching people in a certain way is a smart thing to do too. The other thing is opinions, and it still all kind of ties in with everything. But there's been times that people have come on the show, they've either left a comment or sent us an email or something like that, and some kind of a message, and they'll say, hey, I wish you guys would talk about the games you don't like to save me from buying a bad game.
Then that's awful.
Okay. And I see his point. Okay. I don't want to go and spend the money on game X if it's bad. I don't want to waste my money. I'd rather buy a good game. Well, what constitutes a good game for you and what constitutes a good game for me are two different things.
Yep.
Okay. I can give you my opinion on a game. I can tell you what I like, what I don't like about a game. But again, going back to that hockey game that I love and Ron doesn't like, if I was listening to Ron talk about the game, I'd never play it because he doesn't like the game. So he's going to say, I don't like the game. And, so that's why, when people say, well, tell us about the bad games, because so I don't want to waste my money. How do I know you're not going to like the game?
Right.
You might love the game that I don't like. And how many times have I talked about a game here that I'm over the moon about? And other people like, I hate that game.
Right.
So it does come down to your opinion on a game.
You could tell me you love a game. You're like, okay, I'm going to go out and buy it. And then I don't like it. So it's Dave's fault. I wasted money.
Well, that's the other thing. And I don't want to steer anybody away from a game that they might like.
Never.
It's so and I don't want to do that. You might really like the game. There's some games that I look at people play. I'm like, no, I don't want to play that. But I'm not going to tell other people not to just because I don't like it. And like you said earlier, do I want to make somebody feel like a piece of crap because they're playing a game that I don't like? And I don't want to feel like a piece of crap because I'm playing a game that someone else doesn't like. So we all have our opinions.
I get it. I got to apologize to people that are also watching, and as they're in there, when you see my head's going down, it's because of this being with Dave now. I get questions all the time about games, and I hate leaving anybody hanging. So sometimes I'm answering somebody. So I just had to answer a matchup college football question. I apologize. My eyes are also in the chat.
That's all right. I mean, that's what we do sometimes. Is we get bombarded with questions, and today I was answering
paid per question.
Yeah, I know.
I burn all my money.
I spend hours a week answering questions, and I don't mind helping out when I can.
No.
I can't always get there though, so I try to tell people, to give me a little bit to get there. Like someone the other day was asking me about what's my opinion on I forget what it was. I don't know if it was hockey or football games. He says, what's your opinion on these 3 games? And I didn't say this one's great, this one stinks, this one's. I just said, here's what this one does, here's what this one does, and here's what this one does. And let's just talk about APA for a second. It's chart driven, right? Let's just call it what it is. You get a number and you go to the chart. Some people hate charts. That's why they don't play APAs. I don't like charts. Charts are not my thing. I don't want to play APA. I respect that. I do. I respect that. I want my results on the cards, or I want less charts. You know what I mean? So let's put it this way. In Strat, if you get the X defense check, you got to go to a chart. Okay? Hockey Bones, once in a while you go to a chart. Not nearly as much as APA hockey, but you still do from time to time. So some games just have way less charts. I get that.
Right.
I happen to not mind charts. I don't mind getting a number and going to the chart. I really kind of like that. I enjoy that. So for me, I can play the APA games because the charts don't bother me. Other people, they can't stand charts. Then you're not going to like APA.
Right.
And that's okay. And that's okay. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like charts.
Right.
I
don't know. I don't agree with the whole bashing, and opinions are fine in a sense, but take somebody take our friends who they become our friends. ST, Grant, again, John Turnbull. They're not making a lot of money as it is.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell John Doe, you don't want to go there, that game's no good, he's got this, that took away a potential sale for them.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like ST and Clay, their livelihood is depending on that. Okay? Thank God they put out good products. I don't know what their following it is, but I hope it turns over to 1 million from my mouth to God's ears. But this is money they depend on. I'm not going to turn somebody off. I will give an honest opinion of what the game means to me, but it doesn't mean I'll still say, but you should try it. I'm not going to tell them they should try a game that's going to be, X amount of dollars. Nobody wants to waste,
mm-hmm.
$100, $200 and never use it again, because the resale, you're not going to get that.
Yep.
No matter what, you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end up not only bashing a game for whatever reason and taking away money out of people's pockets, when I'd rather see them make the money, especially the ones that aren't charging a lot. Because really, what did you make out? What did you miss out on? What'd you spend? $30? You lost out on $30. Think about how much you waste $30 in the course of a week, maybe even a day. It's not going to kill anybody, but I'm not going to make somebody spend 300.
Yeah. And
You
well,
know,
and the flip side of that, as I was talking to somebody today that talked about the fact that, okay, these are single man operations or small group operations. It's not a huge company. It's not a Fortune 500 company. This is not Comcast or AT&T. These are small people, and I get that, but they're still charging you money. So there is some kind of obligation there that needs to be met because you are charging money. Again, if you're giving the stuff away for free, you really shouldn't complain at all. There really shouldn't be any complaints. If the game's not good, don't play it. Just
exactly.
simple as that. But don't trash the guy or trash the game. Just like, look, it's a free game and I don't like it. That's fine. But when you are charging money, no matter how small it is, I think that this person made a good point. You do have to realize that you're a business, whether you're by yourself or not, and that you're taking money from somebody, and there is some expectation there of whether it's the game, whether it's customer service, whether it's getting the game to you in a timely fashion, maybe it's the quality of the game. All that comes into play. And so that's the flip side of it, is that once you start charging money, then there is some kind of obligation, if you will, that you need to meet.
I get it. I get it. And and most of them tried to. And that's the key word. They are trying. You are not going to please every person out
Mm-hmm.
there. You're just not. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care what business you're in, what you're doing. You could be a public speaker. You're not going to walk away from every time you speak and pleased everybody. There's gonna be things that go wrong. It's just the way the world is, and it's not because of the way. It's just we see things differently. We feel things differently.
Yep.
We hear things differently. We do different things. It's just
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's
But I think it's fair to say that if you're charging somebody $10 for a PDF season or whatever it is, or $10 for $30 for a printed season or whatever, you just can't expect it there the next day like you do with Amazon. Okay, so so there's expectations, and then there's realistic expectations.
yes,
Sometimes people are not going to, if they're a lot of people, it's not their full-time job. It's something they do in a spare time. Joe Bryan, he didn't even want to sell his product, but people said it was really good, so Joe, sell your product. So this is something he does on the side, part-time. He enjoys it, and you can't get too demanding with that. You just can't.
right.
Okay, and you can't get mad at Joe. How do you get mad at Joe? He's such a good guy.
Yes,
But
sweetheart.
but there's some expectations that he needs to meet, and he usually does.
Yep.
And there's some that are just unattainable for a single man operation that's working part time.
Right.
Even Grant the other day. I love Grant. You know me. We had him on the show. We had a good time. I bought 78, 79. I got the PDF in, and it had the wrong. There's a letter that comes to talk about the season, and it had the wrong season. And I was like, Grant, you need to fix this. You sent out the wrong season with 78 as far as the intro letter. Oh, and he fixed it. And what am I going to do? Oh, yeah, don't buy a game from Grant because he sends out the wrong things. He doesn't know what he's doing. No, I contacted him and says, and what did he do? He fixed it. He didn't.
Mistake. That's all it is.
Yeah, and if he had said, "Oh, Dave, don't play my game," then okay, now you got an attitude. Maybe I don't play your game, but he fixed it. But I didn't rip him.
Right.
I just said, "Hey, Grant, I got the wrong file here. Check that. If you're sending it out, make sure you send out the right file." And within an hour, it was fixed. But did I get on Facebook and did I get on Delphi and do that? No, I give him a chance to fix it, and he does. And one other thing that someone quoted me, I always talk about, everyone's searching for the perfect game, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah, Ryan quoted you on that one. It's true.
And I stick by that because, and I myself, why do you think I play so many games? Because I want to find that perfect game. I have so many games I play, and I love them all, but there's always one or two things that kind of irk me about every game I play that I wish did a little bit better. But because it plays a certain way, you can't really fix what it is, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't borrow something from Strat and put it into Appa because it's not how Appa is designed, and vice versa.
Right.
Excuse me, I can't take something from payoff pitch and put it in the season ticket because they're different games.
Right.
So if I get the urge to play like Appa and Hockey Bones, they're real close, but they do different things. So part of me is like sometimes I want to do the Hockey Bones because I love what it does that Appa doesn't. Those little things that Hockey Bone does that Appa doesn't. And sometimes I play Appa because it does the things that Hockey Bone doesn't. They're really close, but they each do different things. And I can't really intertwine the two because it's not how the game is designed. So I need to play these games with, and I don't want to call them flaws because they're not flaws, but I need to play them with their blemishes, as I call them blemishes, that some other games don't have. But again, there's no perfect game.
No.
Bones ain't the perfect game. Apple Hockey ain't the perfect
Nothing.
game, but they both do nice things, and I can play between the two of them.
It might be matchup college football.
You like that? You like that?
Oh, that's my favorite game.
And there's games we play that maybe there's nothing really wrong with it, so to speak, but there's always something that another game does a little bit better. But if you're comparing A and B, this does this better, but this does something else better. And so, there's no perfect game, but we try to get as close as we can. That leads me into something else. I'm making my notes as I talk here. Have you played the game? There was a couple of things that he talked about that I don't even know if he played the game.
No, he didn't.
And I was like that too. It's like I see a game and I'll call out Hockey Bones. Okay. I will call it up because now it's one of my favorite games. I bought that game. I bought the PDF. I printed out a couple teams. I printed out the rule book, and it just felt like the rule book was like a phone book. It was huge. I think we're old enough to remember phone books, right? Do we remember phone books, you guys?
I remember a phone book.
The young guys don't know what a phone book is. Yeah, the young guys don't know what a phone book is.
I didn't know there was a trick to it, but it was a teacher, a woman teacher, Miss Fagona. I'll never forget it. She tore one in half.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Class didn't act up for about a week.
Yeah. No. Rest of the semester. If you haven't played the game, and going back to the phone book, the rule book for Hockey Bones, I flipped through the first couple of pages and gave up. And it was probably a year or so before I sat down and said, something, Hockey Unreal really likes this game. And he keeps telling me about it. And I keep watching his games and I'm like, I can't figure this out, dude. What are you doing with Hockey Bones? And he said, Dave, give it a try. And he stuck with me, good for him. He was like my sponsor. He stuck with me. Okay. Right. And I finally said, okay. I sat down one night and I turned the TV off. I turned the radio off. I took the rule book out. I got myself a little decaf coffee and I read the rule book. Right. And I said, I will give this a fair shake. And I says, holy cow, this is not what I thought it was. And I went downstairs and I started playing and the game clicked. And there was a couple little things I had to iron out like everything else. But playing Hockey Bones was not as daunting as I thought it was going to be. And I gave that game crap for years. And I have to own up to that. I have to own up to the fact that I made fun of Hockey Bones for years. And now I enjoy the heck out of playing Hockey Bones.
Right.
And I bought a ton of seasons, so I've spent my money on that game. And I tell people about it, and I've done videos on it and the whole bit. That's how much I like it. So I didn't play that game. And then I played it, and I enjoyed it. Now, there's been some games that I looked at, and it's like, oh, this game stinks. I don't want to play it. And then I do play it. It's like, yeah, this game stinks, and I don't want to play it. I mean, it happens. But again, it's my personal preference.
Right.
It's not anybody else's. So
there's a few games I've tried. I said, I'm going to give it another shot. Didn't work. And it never worked.
Yeah.
There was some that went the other way and become, really my favorite games. But, going on the subject that we've started is about, like, I see the chat talking about glorifying bashes. We all want to be one. It's a free country to bash people. First of all, I'm as free a speaker as you're ever going to know. And I will give it to you, both barrels, if I have to. You want to defend yourself? Defend yourself. And I'm talking about every aspect of life. Okay? That's fine. Do I like the way I am with that? Do I like the way I get? No. I can't stand it. So I don't want to see people bashing people. So no, I don't glorify people. And the show isn't about glorifying bashers. It's about trying to do it with respect
Yep.
and not bashing,
Yep.
criticism
Yep.
with
Yep.
respect.
And a lot of people I talked to today, because I talked to a lot of people about that post, and a lot of people said he wasn't wrong. And just like when ID Jester goes on his rants, he's not necessarily wrong. Okay, and there's a lot that you can agree with on that. But it just seemed awkward just to come out and just throw a big negative bash out there for
Especially from
everything.
him.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. And I was kind of surprised at some of the comments on that. And I read most of them, and that's kind of why we're talking about it tonight. He wasn't wrong in some
No,
of his criticisms. He wasn't
no.
wrong. Whether he was talking about the quality of the product or the customer service
Right.
or the game itself.
Right.
And you could make some argue. You could argue back and forth with a couple of his things, and and then someone else is like, I like the fact that he did this because I'm tired of not being able to talk about things I don't like. Vin, I don't think it's not being able to talk about things you don't like. I don't think it's so much that as it is how you handle it.
Yep. Yeah.
You
I
know,
just didn't see a bandwagon jumpers either. Because you know what? It took that post for you to come out and say, "Oh, it's about time." Well, where were you? If you're so upset about all these things, where were you? And again, I'll go back to what I said at the start. Contact the company. That's all.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Most of those companies, they're not on Digital to Dice's Facebook group. They're not on Cards and Dice. They're not on Tabletop Sports. Bring it to where it belongs.
Yeah.
If you're trying to give opinions on a game, and I think somebody said it earlier, the bashers are what you long to be but aren't courageous enough. Okay. Yep. There you go. That makes sense.
But I mean, it's not that we just want to sit here and just read rainbows and sunshine all day long about the games, because there's games that we have issues with for one reason or another, whether it's the seasons, the game itself, the quality of the game, the customer service, how the game plays, the community around the game. Again, no perfect game. There's always going to be something, and then a lot of it is opinion. Excuse me, what you think. So it's not that we don't allow it, so to speak. We do. I mean, obviously didn't take the post down. We let it sit, and people can talk about what they want to do as long as it doesn't get personal or or really get out of control. We're okay with that. And people jumped in to defend their game, but there's just, for me personally, there's just enough negativity in this world. I don't want to really add to it when I don't have to. I love this hobby. Okay,
games.
I love playing the games. It's kind of like almost this is my therapy. Okay, I come down, I play a game, I go back in time. It relaxes me. This is like sitting in a hot tub with a glass of whatever. It's just so relaxing. It is so enjoyable. I come away from the table with a story in my head that's so awesome to tell. And it gives me a chance to really enjoy, the few hours a day that I have to myself to enjoy this stuff. If I have a few hours a day, sometimes I don't. It's so I don't need to add to the negativity, because I try to look at the positive of this. Now, am I going to ignore the things that are wrong with games or companies or things like that? No, I don't necessarily ignore it, but I don't have to talk about it every day either and just be a negative Nancy.
Right.
There was a time on social media that my wife lost a lot of friends on social media, and she's like, why am I losing so many friends? And she would talk to them, and they're like, be honest with you, all day long, all you do is bitch about things on Facebook. And you bitch about the traffic, you bitch about the weather, you bitch about the neighbors, you bitch about this, you bitch about that. And they're like, we got enough negativity in the world. We don't want any more negativity. So no, I don't want to be your friend on Facebook if you're just going to complain all day.
Right.
And she kind of didn't realize it. And when she went back and looked, she's like, yeah. So she kind of stopped doing that. And I tried to do that in a way myself. I try not to get on there and complain every day about something. Sometimes something happens and you're like, hey, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But there's enough negativity in the world that I just don't need to add to it. I don't need to put a spotlight on it. And um, let's just say what it is, Vin. We're talking gaming here,
Yep.
okay? And I'm not trying to defend anybody by saying this, okay? Because you're paying your money, you have some expectations. I get it, okay? But it's like you said earlier. It's like, hey, do you know a good brain surgeon? Well, that's different than, hey, what do you think of this baseball game?
Right.
If you like the baseball game, great. If you don't, then that stinks. But it's not like you went to a bad brain surgeon. It's a game. We're playing games,
Right.
for crying out loud. And I'm not trying to say that this trumps everything and that everyone's immune because it's
No.
no,
No.
no. I'm not saying that at all. But let's just keep it in perspective. When people, I haven't got my game in the mail. It's been a week. It's a game. And I know we're all excited. I am too. When I place my order, I'm checking the track at every 10 minutes.
Yep.
Where is it? I'm the same way. And we want it. And we're impatient because it's something we enjoy, but we need to put it in perspective that what it is. And
Yep.
it doesn't mean you can't complain about some things, but
No.
let's put it in perspective.
And I'm fine. I have a lot of years of this behind me. I feel there's a responsibility to be straight with people for all the games I've come across. And I have no problem doing that. But what am I gaining by putting it out there like half of these keyboard warriors? Because I guarantee they don't say the things that the way they act and the way they talk.
Yeah.
They don't say that when they're
Yeah.
sitting in the same room.
Yeah.
Guaranteed they don't.
Yeah.
You know what? You've been around me. I say whatever I got to say.
Yeah.
I just try to keep the peace. But I say what I have to say.
Yeah.
When it gets to a point. But I will be willing to sit with anybody if they want my opinion on a game. But my opinion's not gospel. It's only my opinion.
Exactly. Yep. And some people agree with you and some people won't. And that's okay. Again, because we all like different things. Whether it's music, whether it's food, we all like different things. The other thing is that sometimes when you get all negative, it can bring out the fanboys because you're gonna hurt someone's feelings if you get on there and you start trashing a game. Let's just call it what it is. And sometimes the fanboys can go too far. Like you said, you were talking Strat early, and if you go into a Strat group and say, "Oh, I don't play Strat anymore," they want to run you out of town with pitchforks. But yeah, you risk of just making a whole community upset by your opinion that you don't like something, and it doesn't mean you can't say it. Let's say this a million times. It doesn't mean you can't put out your opinion or say what you think, or if you have a bad experience, with a game, or you don't like something about a game, you think something's off in a game, that's fine. But I did read in the chat here earlier, you don't want to wreck someone else's experience with a game just because you don't agree with it.
Right.
And then you risk the fact of people who are real passionate, who really like the game, call them fanboys if you will. I'm a fanboy of many games.
Yeah.
And when someone comes on and they say they don't like one of the games that I consider I'm a fanboy of, that bothers me. And my initial reaction is to, go ahead and you're a bad person because you don't like this game that I like. But sometimes you just chat with them. Say, what do you don't like? What is it you don't like about this game? Okay, I don't like charts. Fair enough. Then you're not going to like Apple Hockey.
Right.
And you don't have to. And it doesn't mean that I have to stop playing it.
Right. We went to this over on the Delphi Forum with Matchup College Football that somebody was questioning, you roll the dice to see what the play is and who calls the play, and really you will let that happen. And my post, and you know how I feel about that game and how I feel about ST. But I'm going to start a war with it. I said, listen, it might just, if you don't like it, you don't like the way it's played, don't play it. There's 100 other football games out there. Just don't play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the other thing is, why not give it a second chance? We did a whole show on second chances. We might have done 2 shows on second chances. I need to do a show on third chances now with payoff pitch. I played payoff pitch and I really liked it. And then I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing it a second time and I got back into it. And I bought a bunch of seasons, printed seasons, right? And then I played and something irked me about it. And it really just, And I was going to sell all my seasons. I says, that's it. I'm taking my payoff pitch season. I'm tired of this game. I'm frustrated with it. I'm going to get rid of it. And then I went back to it a third time, and now it's one of my favorite baseball games.
Yeah, I
And
love
I
it.
don't know why. It just took 3 times for me to get that game and get it synced up and running in my head. And now it's flowing real good. And I get cards right here next to me. Every now and then I pull out my 76 Red Sox and I play a game, no issues. And it's because I stuck with it. And I'm going to call up my friend P-Jet. I'm going to call him my friend. Okay.
Mhm.
P-Jet. We all know P-Jet.
Good guy.
Yeah, I love P-Jet, right?
Good guy.
And he went off, he did 2 videos on Apple Hockey and the rant and the whole bit, and he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong with his Apple Hockey rant. And he said he tried it a couple times, it didn't work. And then all of a sudden, he starts watching me play Apple Hockey, and he sees the joy that I'm having and the changes that I made.
Right.
And someone gifted him a game, gave him a game in a season, and he's like, you know something, Dave? I'm playing Apple Hockey now. I got a different frame of mind. I'm using some of your ideas and somebody else's ideas. He goes, it's really not a bad game. And it's like, yeah, I just changed my mind on it. Great. If you're playing a game you enjoy, fantastic. I'm glad you like it. I like it, so that's great that you like it. But if you got it again and said, yep, just not the game for me, it's not the game for you, and that's okay. Again, there's no wrong answers here. The other thing is that, somebody was talking about they were having a problem with shipping. They weren't getting something in time, or they weren't getting a notification, and that's frustrating. I get that, and there was somebody in the community that got like their first 2 orders got screwed up, and that would drive anybody crazy. I don't care if it's a game. If anytime you get back-to-back orders screwed up, and then they're your first 2 orders, yeah, you don't get a warm, fuzzy feeling.
No, it's a bad taste.
It is. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And so he was very respectful about it, but he said, here's what I ran into. So he was posting his negative experience with a certain game, and they screwed up 2 things in a row, and they tried to fix it, and then they screwed it up again. But and he's like, yeah, I think I'm done with this company. And I would probably be too. If I tried twice and they screwed up twice, I would probably be done. So, okay, this ain't working out. But there's other people that went on and responded and said, I've been ordering for 40 years and never had a problem.
Yeah.
So, everything's different. I mean, I've had people come into my league and they've been playing with me for over 20 years. And I've had people come in and play 1 game and said, yep, I'm out of here. I ain't coming back. It wasn't for them. And maybe it's something that I said. Maybe I was having a bad day and they said, boy, the commissioner of that league is such a jerk. It's probably happened. I don't doubt it, because they didn't come back for a reason.
You didn't tell them to give them a tug, did you?
No, it just, I have my bad days, and I shout at people sometimes when they, again, the elbow to the face thing. I mean, come on. I gave the guy a ration of crap that night, and I was like, somebody hold me back, because I'm going to blast this guy a new one, because I just wasn't in the mood for it, But it happens. And so I can see that, if you have a bad experience or a couple bad experiences, you might not want to order from that company.
Yeah.
That's fine too. I probably wouldn't either. Restaurants are the same way. How many times you heard somebody say, geez, I went to that restaurant. Oh, the food was terrible.
Right.
I don't know. I went there the other night. It was pretty good. Or you go and it's like, boy, the service was terrible. We waited an hour to get a seat, and then it was another hour for the food. And then someone else will say, geez, we went there the other night. We sat right down and got our food in 10 minutes. And it's different experiences that you get from different companies for different people. And some of the companies that have the worst reputations, people have had no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
And there's been other companies that have the best reputation, and they have had issues.
Mm-hmm. So
again, it does come down to each individual experience. That's part of it too. So just because you had a bad time at the restaurant doesn't mean that I did. And so you walk away saying, don't go to that restaurant. Well, I went and I didn't have a bad time.
Some people just like stirring. They just like stirring it.
Oh yeah, there's a few of those. I wouldn't consider this particular guy a stirrer.
No,
not at all. Okay, so let's just clear that.
I was blown away.
Yeah, it was kind of strange.
Use his name, I mean, he knows what we're talking about.
Yeah,
They know. He said, I was shocked.
It was
I
just
was
weird.
shocked.
It was weird
Yes,
to come out of left field and just kind of post a big thread of negativity about all these games. And he just said he just wanted to, he just got tired that people wouldn't talk bad about games.
and I get it. In a point, I get it. It's okay. Okay. And knowing him, he probably contacted some of these companies or had personal discussions with them because he's very approachable. He's that type of guy. But then there's people out there that want to be, you know, keyboard warriors.
Yep.
Again, or they'll say things, they're not going to say it. They'll say it 100 times on the keyboard, over the internet, whether they're sitting in a room, face to face, church mouse.
Yeah.
You know
Yep.
what? That's fine.
Yeah.
There's bashing. There's no reason to bash anything. You could give it negative content. Some things deserve it. If you're not being negative about stuff, you're not being honest. And if somebody's
Yeah.
going to come to me about an opinion on something, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to come to me in life, I'm honest with them because I care about them. If I'm lying to you, that
Yeah.
means I don't care. I don't give 2 cents about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And
It's not my nature.
now let's take the other side of the coin. It does get a little, I don't know what the word is, when people are just constantly gushing over a game and the game can't do any wrong. So I think that was one of the things that he was saying today too, was that, boy, I get tired of hearing nothing but sunshine and rainbows about some of these games, because here's all the things that I found wrong with this list of games. So I think that was the other thing too. He's just like, these games can do better because here's some of the things I found wrong with it, and I'm tired of not being able to express my opinion, and we always just have to talk good about games. So I see that too. Is that sometimes you do get tired of, oh man, this is the best game ever, and you can't say anything bad about this game because it's the best game ever because I think so. So the rainbow and sunshine thing, 24 hours a day, that gets a little weird too. And that's when it comes down to, yeah, you don't feel like you can say what you really want to say about a game because you are going to hurt someone's feelings, and someone's going to be mad at you, and now you're going to create this internet war because it's team apples versus team oranges. I kind of get all that, but it doesn't mean that you can't say something about, like, boy, I wish you did this, or this kind of bugs me about that, and it's not a bad game except for this. You should be able to do that. And if there's enough about a game that drives you nuts, then yeah, you probably just shouldn't play it.
Listen, you said there's no perfect game. I could even go on about matchup college football about stuff. People complain, and ST knows this. There's just nothing he could do about it. The type of teams that are created, the sets that are created.
Yep.
How come there aren't seasons? How come there aren't conferences? Okay, I tell people, if that's what you're looking for, you don't want no part of the game.
Yeah.
If you're looking to do season replays, you don't want no part of the game. I could go through. We talked to Grant. Grant, I want more CFL seasons. He's only got about, I don't know, Lord knows how many, just not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So I'm the one he's got to please. You know what I mean? There's so many. Every single game I could go on and about something. I just don't have. I'm not going to nitpick.
But is there enough good about the game that makes you want to play it?
Right.
Yeah, and it stinks that you don't have every season that you want, but that's why you go to other games, because they do. And again, I would have every game, every season for highlight hockey from Grant. I absolutely would, and I think he knows that. I think he knows that if he puts out seasons, he's gonna sell a lot of them because people are hungry for that game and hungry for those seasons.
See what Mike just said, and I'm going to address the chat again, but negative doesn't always equal bad. No, but you're right, Mike, technically. But
how it is presented, though.
Right, constructive.
And as someone who's done this podcast for, we're on year 7 right now. You're thinking I haven't got my share of criticism about the show, but it's the people that approach me in a very non-threatening way that I take more serious. If someone comes up and says, "Hey, Dave, this show, blah blah blah, this is part of the show, this part of the show, or I wish you'd do this, I wish you'd do less of that," I listen to that. And I say, okay, well, maybe that's something we can tweak here or whatever. But when someone comes on, blah 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 blah,
Right.
it goes in one ear and out the other because now you're just complaining. You're just on the internet complaining. Whereas if you come up to me and you want to talk about it, maybe I'll explain why we do this or why we don't. We get a lot of suggestions. Hey, I think you should do this. Well, here's kind of why we don't do that. Oh, okay, I see why you don't do that. And so I explain why it may or may not work for this show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and Mike also says, how could it have been more constructive? I don't
By
know
not
how it could
saying
be.
he was embarrassed about owning a game.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
That was rough, man. You just, you kind of insulted the people that created that game. And again, I don't know if he meant to do that or say that. I was shocked. I don't see Jill's being, he's not that. I don't
No,
see him. He's
no,
not
he's
that
not. Yeah,
guy. And I will
something happened.
stand up
I'm
for
not
him every
sure.
time.
I'm not
Every
sure what
time.
spawned this. Something happened in his life somewhere that he wanted to come on, and which is totally uncharacteristic of him. But he has the right to say it, and a lot of people agreed with what he said, and to a point, I agreed with a lot of what he said. Not everything, but how do you argue that game X? This is an issue with game X. We all kind of would probably agree with that. This other game here, he talked about. I think we might all agree with that too.
Yeah.
He wasn't wrong in some of the things that he said. And speaking of the devil, of course, I just give PJ a compliment, and he shows
Oh,
up late, right?
sure. This is. He's got those special headsets that bring his name up and his, hey, folks.
Yeah.
What's up, PJ?
So yeah. So I mean, we shouldn't have to dance around things you don't like in the game. But there's ways to do it, ways to talk about it. There's reasons why you should do it or not do it. And if it's done in a tactful way, again, I'm going to go back in the chat here and post a few comments here. We'll go back to see what the chat's talking about here because I'm way behind in the chat.
There's a lot you probably want to avoid.
Yeah, and I will. That's fine. And I knew that's why we didn't want to talk about everything here,
Yep.
Because it's a touchy topic. Again, we're passionate about these games, and we can be passionate good and passionate bad about some games. So some people can absolutely hate a game, and don't like it when people talk nice about that game because they don't like it. But why are you going to ruin someone else's time? So let me go back and I'll post a few here and we'll make some comments on these things here. Oh boy, here's our most controversial comment that I've seen here. And that was from Brad. He said, "Good evening." Brad, we can't have all this controversy right off the bat here.
Brad's a brother in matchup college football.
Nice.
Yeah, he plays a lot. He's good.
So let me see here. And Scott writes in and says, there are aspects of a game I might not like, but I will like the game as a whole. That's kind of what I was getting at, is that there's no perfect game, but it doesn't mean that you're going to like enough about that game that you're going to want to play it, is what I'm getting at. Yeah, again, I don't have a perfect game. There's not one game I have that I love everything about it. There's not one game I play that I love everything about it. There's always one thing about a game, or maybe more than one, that's like, oh, I hate this, not hate, but I don't like having to do this in a game. I wish there was another way, but it's part of how they do it. And so I deal with it. But there's enough about the game that I will play it. Okay. Let me see.
Feel we have such a. It's a small niche, despite what some people think. And for the majority of it, they're good people. I don't want to see anybody avoiding the Digital to Dice group on Facebook or avoiding Cards to Dice. I don't want to see that because they don't like a certain, if you don't like a certain post, you got to grow a spine. Okay. Yeah. But if it's constant, there's people out, listen, you know what I live with. All right. You know my situation. I don't choose to live there, in that. I have enough moments throughout the day. My gaming and my golf and my firearms, my gun club, those are my escapes. Okay, I don't want negativity around that. First of all, you're not going to find much negativity at our gun club. You're not going to see people looking to bash anybody either. It's just for obvious reasons. But there have been discussions about certain types. Some
Yeah.
guys are dead set on Smith and Wesson. Some guys are dead. I bought my wife for her first gun. It was one of the best made guns in the world. She picked it out. What can I say? The girl don't know how to pick out something for $5. You know what I mean? It's fine. They bashed me. They thought I was nuts. What are you crazy? But she likes to shoot more than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want nobody leaving this hobby because you know what? I don't know how much longer I have. I want to know people were left behind, or maybe I did something
Yeah.
that much that'll keep them there.
There is
That's all I
way,
want.
way more good in this hobby than bad. Way more good. And, you can't ignore the bad. You can't ignore that some games have issues with some part of the game or process or company or person, if you will. It happens. There's some nice people in this community. There's some not nice people.
Mhm.
There's some nice game developers. There's some not nice game developers. And you can choose what you play. But just bringing out all the faults of all these games, I don't know what anybody's expecting to accomplish with that, but that's his right to say it. And I didn't disagree with everything he
Well,
said.
let's
There was a
also remember kudos to him that he did
follow
put
up
out a
with
positive one.
yeah, which
You
was
know,
weird because it sounded like he hated every game that was on that list, which was kind of weird.
yeah,
Which is what a lot of people took with that. But I think he was trying to make some kind of a point, and to a point where he's got a full podcast talking about it here tonight with over 60 people in the chat room talking about it too. So he did create a conversation. And that's what we're doing here. We're trying to take a fair and balanced look at this conversation. Michael writes in, it's one thing to review a game and another thing to just bash it. Yeah, and when people, and I talked about this earlier, someone emailed me and says, what do you think about these 3 games? And I forget if they were hockey or football, whatever it was. Which one's the best? Well, what's the best for me might not be the best for you. And, what are you looking for in a game? What would be the best game for you? Do you want it fast? Do you want it have a ton of seasons? Do you want it, does it matter how it's played? Do you want team cards? Do you want individual player cards? Is cost a problem?
that's
So
a
that
dangerous question.
yeah. So
And
I answered. It took me a day to finally get back and figure out what I wanted to say. So I says, well, here's the deal. Here's what this game does. Here's what this game does. And here's what this game does. And I gave him just like a little sentence or two about each game.
right.
So I didn't tell him what I thought the best one was, and I didn't give him my opinion. I says, here's what they do. So when I review a game, when I have it on the channel here, I like to show what the game does. And sometimes I talk about what I like, and sometimes I talk about what I don't like in it when I'm playing a game. And but at least you're going to see the game being played, and then you decide. You decide if it's the game for you. If I'm playing APRA and I'm pulling all the charts, you're like, charts are not for me. This game's not for you.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. You don't have to have that. If something else, well, the type is too small in the cards for me, then that's probably not the game for you either.
Definitely not the game for me.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
see.
yeah,
With these
yeah.
cheaters on, I can't even see.
Yeah, and I like how Joe put this here. This is from way earlier in the chat. Again, I'm kind of getting back to the beginning of the chat, and we'll scroll down. I don't feel anyone should criticize a game just because they don't like or enjoy it. If you have a problem with the company, okay, fine. Do not criticize the game because you don't enjoy it. Well, yeah and no. I think you should be able to, if you don't like a game, you can criticize it. Just it's not my game, but you got to be fair about how you do it. You can't just say this game sucks. Well, why does it suck? Well, it doesn't do this, or this doesn't make sense, or then just say why you don't like it.
Well, you just got hit below the belt. Look at baseball demos, man. That's not cool. He just said, is it okay to bash Godzilla?
Oh, where's the ban button? Where's the ban button? You can't be bashing Zilla. Come on.
Kudos. That was a good one. But there was another thing in the. Hold on. I just want to see something. There was another. Oh, Glenn Victor said it. And I'm the same way. His skin crawls when he sees the question, what's the best?
Yeah.
There's a Facebook group out there.
Yeah.
I'm not on it no more.
Yeah.
For personal whatever reasons. Doesn't allow. Don't use that word. You'll get warned once.
Yeah, you can't say this is the best game. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep. And I see where he's going with it. But a lot of us just like, oh man, this is the best game. And we just say that about everything. You know, this is the best restaurant. It doesn't mean that it is the best. It just we're excited about it. But he wants to prevent that. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing is the best is my wife, and I don't care what you guys in the room say. She's the best.
And she's standing right behind you.
No, she's upstairs, but I think she's listening. So,
Michael also writes in, as someone who's been creating seasons for Stratomatic since 2002, it takes a lot of time, especially if it isn't your primary job to make seasons, especially older seasons. So that's the other thing too, is keep in mind, yeah, that these people are kind of working part-time and they're trying to get this stuff out to you. And Ryan, good to see you. Ryan says, I try to remind myself that none of these games are perfect. At the end of the day, they're board games and it'll always be missing something. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it too, Ryan, is that they're always going to be something that's just missing or something that doesn't make sense. Who was it? Was it Ron Emk? Or was it there was a doctor, somebody that was, when I was learning Apple Golf, they had Apple Golf on the table, and he's saying this is how you do Apple Golf is you put the ball here and this is the flight of the ball, and he goes, this is not the actual flight of the ball, but this is how we get there in a board game setting. This is how we do it. And so the ball cannot take a 90-degree turn, but he was just trying to get the point across that that this game here, this is how we get from point A to point B. And it's a board game. So that is perfect. Like what Ryan said, it's a board game.
Ryan's too reasonable. When I first met the kid, I thought he'd be a little more controversial, and he's a freaking smart kid, man. I don't like him anymore. Ryan, you're not allowed in my house anymore.
Let me see here. I'm trying to read some of them before I post them. All right, so from Kluber here. Yeah, I don't mind honest assessment for games, but dismiss criticisms about game engine when it's clear the poster likely has either not played the game or talks about accuracy with small sample sizes. Yeah, that's the other thing, too. And I'm guilty of that. When I started playing highlight hockey or quick decks hockey, I think it was highlight hockey, I was getting some ridiculously high scores. I'm like, Grant, what's going on with your game here?
Yep.
I think I was playing it wrong. Okay, I think I was doing a couple things wrong. And it's quite possible that I was just rolling crazy because after my initial few games of really, really high scores, and then when I realized I was playing the power play wrong, my game scores have been right in line with the final score. And so my initial small sample size was, whoa, I'm getting some high scores. But then the more I played it, the more it kind of settled down. Maybe I started playing it correctly. Maybe I was doing something wrong and generating more scoring chances, and that's why. But now my games, and he kept telling me, Dave, my games are spot on. I don't know why your games are like this. And I wanted to believe him. It's like, well, he's not going to lie to me. He's got all the data. He's been playing the games. Here's my scores. Why are yours not like this? And then finally my scores became like that. And I was like, okay, it either just took a while or it took me a time to get a bigger sample size, or, just maybe I was playing it wrong, whatever. But so, yeah, so there's that, and let's see, back in the chat here.
I was half joking, but I tell you, we're going to have to apologize to Grant, right?
Oh, I did. I said,
I know you did. I know, and you did it live on the air. I said this all the time too. When I saw that game, I was afraid to even try. I was like, this thing looks like something like I think I could learn how to do like eye surgery faster.
When I saw it in Connecticut, someone had just set it up and started playing. I was like, oh man, I wanted to see you set it up. Because I says, that's what I want to see. I don't think I can do this. I could probably get the game flowing, but I want to see what this whole track thing is. And so I had to wait till Colorado. And when he sat and he showed me that, and we set it up, I was like, really? And then we started playing it. And once you start get a couple cards into the game, and you realize the track is just to identify the player.
It's perfect.
Or the line. That's all the track is. It's not anything. It's just you slide it along to get the next player to identify that's going to take the shot, and or change the line, or check the what you're checking for offense or defense skill. That's all it is. And it's like, why was I so afraid of this? This really. And so when I did my deep dive video, I tried to say, look, this is all this does. It's really not a big deal. You just go to the next position. Don't be afraid of it.
And
And
it's easy because when you could walk away from the game for a while, because we rotate our games, and you can go back to it after I don't know how long, and boom, you don't miss a beat.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yep, yep,
I'm there now with the CFL game. I don't miss a
yep,
beat with his highlights, whatever, football, quick decks. Sorry, Grant, quick
yeah,
decks, highlights, football. I love it. For me, some people think it's too much. Um, Play the game, find out. It's not
yeah,
expensive,
yep.
whatever. But
But
it's a game I could go back to. Like I haven't played it in a while. I'm doing other things, and I love
yeah,
CFL. I was watching the game last night, and I'm gonna know how to play it.
yeah.
I love games
Highlight
like that.
hockey is going to be that's falling into the camp now where I could throw that in a table and in 2 minutes I'll be like, oh yeah, now I know what's going on. And I know I spent some time helping Barbara with the highlight hockey, and she was the same way. Oh, what about this? And once I explained her what each line did, and we did a couple of sample cards. Next thing you know, the next day she'd played 3 games,
And I
and
tell you, she don't need you no more.
I didn't hear from her. And I says, oh,
Like
she
she's
must. I says she must have quit. She must
she's
have quit playing this game.
grooming Pippin.
Yeah. I says, I bet you she stopped playing the game because she just didn't understand it, and that's fine. And oh no, I've played 3 games, and now she's flying through this stuff. So, and here she is right here saying, I value differences in people, what they like, dislike, and what I like and dislike. But you don't put people down because they feel different than you, and that should go for everything in life. But I think that we're so we get kind of tribal with our games and our music and everything else in life, Um, and let's
Listen,
see here.
history has always been controversial, right? It's just, I think it's become more prevalent because of the internet. People say whatever they could say
Yeah,
because, for the most part, you're not going to search them out. Probably never run into them. But save that for the nonsense stuff that's out there. Save that for the political people.
yeah,
They're the ones that deserve it.
yeah,
Not for the gaming group. Yeah, you could be negative about a game, but just don't bash
yeah,
people.
yeah. Oh, it's okay to complain about a game. I'm okay with that. If you say, hey, well, yeah, I don't like this game because of this, it doesn't mean you're wrong. I have my opinions on games, and there's something, boy, I don't like this. I would play this more, but this drives me nuts. Or, I'm having a problem with this, that, or the other thing. So it happens.
Yep.
And that goes to me too. But I mean, it's okay if someone else doesn't have that issue. That's fine. And Triple G comes by and says, my attitude towards Apple football changed. Yeah, I first tried to play Apple football, and I was trying to lay out the teams and get the numbers, and I was having a heck of a time. And I was like, oh man, this game is stupid. I'm not having any fun. And then I took a different approach, and I was like, oh, this is way easier. Why didn't I do it this way? But sometimes it takes me a while to learn a game and get in the groove and kind of just get comfortable with it. It's like, when you get a new car and you're not sitting in it right and you're tweaking the chair and
Yeah, but
trying
are
to get
you
the
one
radio
of
to.
those guys? Because there's a lot of them out there. I used to be. I can't no more. You try to jump right into the game without reading the rules, or just skim the rules.
It depends on the game.
I think you are one of them, Mr. David
It,
Gardner.
it depends on the game. Because a lot of times I will have watched videos or I'll sit with somebody and I'll have an idea of what's going on. Or like I said, I played a couple games at the different like Bank Shot Basketball. I pretty much played that in Connecticut and had a pretty darn good idea on how that game played. So when I got it in the mail, I jumped right into it. And I skimmed through the rule book because I had a basic idea. And then when I started stumbling on some things, then I really kind of dug into the rule book.
And we got help quick too.
Oh yeah,
From that.
yeah.
It was a good community. We got that guy Joe Brooks out there.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the goat of bank shot. Joe Bryan himself. But James Hart was the one that got me. Like I was watching him play it in Connecticut, and I was like, "Wow, this looks like a good game." Especially college sports for me. Like I'd love to see somebody do a good college baseball game. Good night, Mike Silva.
Yeah.
Take your complaints with you.
Yeah, I'm way behind the chat here, but I want to get some up here. If the post had been pros and cons, it might have been better received. Yeah, I agree with that. If you're just going to come on, and I guess again, you don't want to come on and be all sunshine and rainbows, but then again, you don't want to be all dark clouds and thunderstorms either. You want to be fair about it, and just to
And
kind of come
again,
in
in his defense, we know he's not that.
and he's not like that. Yeah, that's
Right.
why this was so weird.
Yes.
But some people defended it and said, "Boy, I like this change of pace where I can finally say what I want to say." Well, you could always say what you wanted to say, but is it really necessary to come in and just say, baseball game X? I don't like the cards; they're too thin, or the shipping takes 6 weeks, or you could. Every game has an issue, but it's just kind of bringing it up out of the blue. I don't know what that's supposed to accomplish. You know. Um, and Mo brings up a good point. People like to hear feedback that agrees with their opinion. If they don't hear what they like, they find excuses to try to mute that voice, and that comes along with you know, just the passion thing. If you're passionate about something and you really agree with it or really disagree with it, you like to find birds of a feather,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
will.
It's like when somebody asks you a question and they come to you, I need to know the answer. So they come to you, they must think you know the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to know the answer. You give them the answer, that can't
Yep.
be right.
Yep. Yeah,
That
yeah,
can't be
yeah.
because
No,
it's not the answer they
what
want to
What
hear.
do you
And
mean you
yet,
don't agree with me? Yeah. D13. What's great about this hobby is a lack of negativity, and that's what I agree with, and we try to avoid that on the show. And it doesn't mean that we're gonna stick our heads in the sand and ignore what's really wrong. But I mean, what's wrong for you might not be what's a problem for me. And again, I go back to that hockey game. Ron's like, I hate how this game does this.
mm,
I like it. I
mhm,
think it feels more like hockey when this happens. But for him, that's not his cup of tea.
right. And I
Um,
tell you, some games, like I'll go through the rule book, you'll go through the rule book, and it will click with you, and I'll be scratching my head, and vice versa. I went through it with Joe. I told you with the college football game. And he says to me, "Oh yeah, but you were in it from the ground floor." I said, "No, I only know ST since January,
hmm,
January 6th, actually, or January. Yeah, it's when I first ordered matchup college football, and as long as I've been playing it, I don't know why the game it's just everything flowed for me. I had very few questions. He emailed me when I first got the game. He's like, "Any questions?" I don't think, and I could ask, but I don't believe I asked too many questions. Now with payoff pitch, it's a pretty easy game. I asked you a lot of questions. I had to go to figure stuff out. Certain things we just tell
yeah,
you. Sometimes we make too much out of what we're seeing because it's not there.
yeah,
If that makes any sense. People look at gaming, feel different about gaming, and it's okay. But I want to be the one helping. I don't
yeah,
want to be the one chasing
yeah,
away people.
yeah. And Michael says, besides a loss for sale, it hinders further development of a game. Yeah, yeah. You get someone that comes on and just bashes game, and people read that and are like, why should I bother making any more seasons? I don't need this, and I'm just going to go away. And then there's a lot of people that enjoy the game that are going to be now missing out on something because someone decided to really take a shot at the game that they didn't like. So, I mean, I'm not saying obviously you can do what you want, but I mean, as far as posting, but it doesn't make sense to go and just kind of rip apart a game. Like, would I go into any Facebook group about a game and just tear it apart? It doesn't make any sense.
No.
It doesn't make
Like I
any
said,
sense.
at the start of the show about my text and answers, I enjoy it. When I can't, I'll tell you I gotta go. You know what I mean? There's times I'm needed upstairs, more important. Certain people know the situation, and that's fine. That's my priority. But if I'm even throughout the day, I got a question the other day. I was playing golf. I was like, I'm out playing golf. That's hint number one. Okay, but here's your answer because I know what it was like. I didn't want to wait all day for an answer and play in a game.
Yeah.
Things I want to be as helpful as I can be. You know,
Yep. And keep in mind that um, sometimes you might get stuck at a point of a game, and maybe the creator of the game um, really can't get to that answer right away. Maybe he's out to dinner, maybe he's away.
or maybe
Maybe
he's ST driving cross country.
Yeah, looking for potato chips.
and going to Notre Dame and back.
Yeah. And so sometimes you can't always get a hold of that person to get clarification. So that's when you go to the Delphi or Facebook or whatever, and you try to find someone that's played the game that might give you the answer.
Right.
And I try to help as much as I can.
Yep.
I was posting in Bank Shot today and I think Shootout, and
Yep.
I try to help with 49, highlight hockey. Any games that I think I might know the answer, I'll go in and chime in and say, here's how I play it. Here's what I think it is. And so I try to help because people have helped me. I've been stuck a few times at critical points of a game. It's like, well, I got to stop here because I'm not sure what to do. And I usually get an answer some way. And sometimes the person give me the answer is actually wrong. And that's okay because, it's not their game. But they're trying to help. And then this is what they interpreted. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many times that, I would get on a call with Ron and I'd be, Ron, I can't figure this out for the life of me. And I would hold up the rule. He'd read it. He goes, oh, that's what it means. It's like, how did you get that out of that? It's just some reason the way it was written, it clicked with him. But for me, it didn't click. And so I was like, oh, wow, okay, I'll try playing it that way. But I would have not read it that way. It's like, oh, yeah, that's what it is. And a lot of the highlight hockey was the same way. Actually, the quick text gets a little bit more involved when it's just like, do you have 2 offense 11? Okay, you don't. Well, if you have offense 11 and you have a shooter 8, take the shot. You don't have a shooter 8? How about a shooter 7? And I'm like, well, wait a sec. How does all this work? But eventually you piece it together and it just makes sense. But sometimes it takes a little bit to get on that. Tim says, right on about the money issue, just don't make criticism personal. Yep, that's when we were talking about,
yes,
if you're making money on it, there is some expectations from you. Just make the expectations reality and keep in mind that it is a game.
Yeah. I see Bob was asking about Delphi. Bob, I've been on Delphi since before my daughter was born. That's, wow, almost 30 years. Me, Jamie, 6 guys started on the tabletop sports forum. And it was over one game, data boxing. Do you remember that game, Dave? Did you ever play it?
No, I'm not a boxing guy.
Dr. Julian Compton made it. Anyway, she was asking about Delphi, and it tends to get a little more violent than Facebook, though. So stick to Facebook, Bob. You're not missing much.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So I'm not a boxing guy. I've never been a boxing guy.
Right.
The only time I ever watched boxing was when I was a kid, and I think I might have been over my dad's house in the weekend. Snowy day, can't go outside, so we're sitting in there. Maybe it was, maybe there's no football on TV, and it was like the wide world of sports come on, and they had boxing.
I knew you were going to say that. That was the best.
That's the only time I've ever watched boxing, and I thought it was silly. And he was just like, yeah, and I'm like, this is dumb.
Oh, great.
This is dumb. I didn't like that,
I love boxing.
And so. Yeah, so people play boxing games. They're like, oh, Dave, how come you don't play boxing? I don't like boxing. I've never liked boxing. You'll probably never see me play a boxing game because I just don't want to.
Oh, man.
But again, am I going to sit there and say you shouldn't play boxing games because it's wrong? No. If you want to do boxing, do boxing. If that's your thing.
Yep. Wow, Joshua knows of data boxing. Wow. Nice.
Yep. Oh, Jamie comes by. Good to see you, Jamie. Again, I'm way behind in the comments here.
Man. We were talking earlier. Actually, we made a football trade in that league. I tell you, we got a live draft tomorrow morning.
Oh, nice.
Jamie's got a super team. He freaking won't trade me Joe Montana and Tony Dorsett.
I like his logo here. That's the I think that's that laser disc video game from the 80s, and I forget what it was called. Excalibur, maybe. Is that the name of the game? That's got his little icon here. But he says, as long as people are not commenting on a game they haven't played or vindictive bashing, I am okay with all other opinions. I think we all kind of are okay with certain criticisms. And again, the title of the show, Constructive Criticism, I think we're all okay with that. It's just when you're trying to be harmful or you're trying to be vindictive or you're trying to just, stir the pot and say, this game's terrible. Who's with me? Rah, rah, rah. That's what I think.
Yeah, you talk
people
about
don't like
fun games. Now that I started a data boxing chat, sorry. The argument was nobody ever had the right rules. So we kind of pieced together. And this guy, Tony Zapito, some of them might remember him. He's still out there, but he created a rule set. And I think it was the one that we all went by.
Oh,
and
nice.
I still have the game. And I have like I think every fighter set. So that was from the Henderson brothers. They were that company in Minnesota.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, they both passed. I think the last one was
Oh.
like close to 90. Yeah, but it was a great game.
Yeah. Dave Little says he still delivers phone books as a side gig.
You still have phone book?
Yeah, Dave Little delivers phone books as a side gig. I guess it's not a big paying job anymore. The new phone books are here. Yeah, I remember that movie. Respect or disagreement is a thing. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can have that disagreement. Um,
Nothing wrong with it.
Phil comes in and says that post was a rant, constructive criticism that was not. I'm sorry. Why does he talk like Yoda? Doesn't he talk like Yoda?
He's a little
Constructive
bigger than
criticism that was
he's
not.
he's a little bigger than Yoda. If you ever fell on Yoda, Phil, you'd crush Yoda. You'd turn him into plankton.
Barbara collects phone books so she can sit on them and reach the table. I don't even know if I have a phone book yet. I did for many years, but I think we finally get rid of it.
Them anymore. We might. I throw them out.
Yeah.
I don't even keep my home phone connected.
And Joe Costa brings up a good point here. He goes, if you're going to put yourself or your game on display on the internet, you just have to accept that in today's world, you're open to all opinions, whether they're well informed or not. Yeah, and that goes for this show here. It goes for like any game developers. Yeah, if you put yourself out there, you're gonna not everybody's gonna like what you do. And so that's a good point by Joe there. In fact, did you see someone today? They said they get their first hate mail.
Yeah.
rookie numbers.
Alex, only one.
Yeah, it gets easier. At some point, you're just like, okay.
I get hate comments 6 times a day just from the woman upstairs, let alone online. I see parallel. I'm sorry. He asked
Joe,
if I. Go.
Joe Card says exactly what happened with you and I. Dave not wanting to continue to play shootout hockey after his first try, but I said keep giving it a try, and he kept playing it, and now he likes it. Yeah, and it doesn't mean it's going to be your favorite game, and it doesn't mean it's going to knock everything else off your table. But if it can be another game that's fun for you to play, then why not? Yeah, I have it. Like I said, I have a ton of games here, and some I play more than others. But there's sometimes I just go and I pull something else. Like, I haven't played this in a while. I got the itch to play this,
Yeah.
And Glenn comes by and says, when I see a post like that, I always wonder what was the motivation to post that, and what was he hoping to accomplish. I kind of was wondering the same thing because it was just so out of left field.
Right, and like I said to you, it's those companies. Maybe other guys like Grant and them, and they're gonna see that they're Facebook users. As far as I know, with Strat, they're not Facebook users. They're not out there. They worry about their own groups. There's a few people out. Like I just noticed one of the. Mike Kane is a Stratomatic employee too, so he was there. So I don't blame him for kind of taking offense the way things were worded. I don't think Mike Kane has thin skin at all. You can't do what he does and have thin skin.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
So
and Mike, I think Mike left, but he said payoff pitch is his favorite game.
Yeah,
but the way the cards come out of order is weird, but he's not offended. And I agree with that too. Sometimes it comes in and it's like, oh man, I just want to, get them in like Apple where they're all together. You could just kind of put them in the envelope and be done with it. But in a way, sometimes it is fun when you get a thing of payoff pitch in, or even bank shot basketball, and you have to do the sorting.
I enjoy it.
It's kind of fun looking.
How about the funky smell when you break the seal?
Oh yeah, and then your hands get all dry. That's why I use gloves. My hands get dried out. That paper, whatever, it just sucks the moisture, and my hands get all chapped and cracked like it's the middle of winter.
Wow, I don't get that. But
no, they do.
The smell when you crack open the plastic.
They do, but when you're doing that though, sometimes, like I say, if you order like 3 seasons, it takes forever, and it's like, oh man. But it is fun when you get that, when you open that season and you start going through the cards, right?
I like it.
It's so fun because you're looking at that and saying, man, how many times you done this with either a payoff pitch or bank shot? Because that's the 2 games from Sideline Strategy, and you're like, I forgot that this guy played on this team. And you make a mental note. It's like, I need to play a game with this team because I want to play this guy. He's on a different team. And I really enjoy that. I like seeing what guys are, how they moved around on this particular year. Excuse me. And it makes you want to play that game even more. And it gets you excited about it. It really is,
Yeah, I just enjoy looking through all the numbers on the stats on them, the type of cards they have, memories pop up of players because I could go back as far as you want to go with sports, and I know the names and a lot of the players, but sometimes you just forget. So when that clicks and you see that one name, especially with bank shot to college, I couldn't tell you all the colleges the guys went to. So
Yeah.
when I see the pros' names
Oh, it is.
coming
Yeah,
up,
it is neat.
it's
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, back to Ryan here, and he says, keep in mind that almost 99% of the feedback in the community is generally positive, so that's worth celebrating, and it is, and I think that's why a lot of people try to keep it positive because it's gaming, it is fun, it's a hobby, it's not perfect, there's no perfect game, there's things that bug us, there's games that bug us, there's seasons that maybe you wish you had, and there's always something that's gonna make you mad about something, but it's how you handle it and just kind of go with it.
Joe takes a great approach to this. So he has this game that has this season. He loves this other game, but it don't have that season. But he's like, oh, okay, but I can get that season with these two other games I like. So I'll just use that game when I want to play a game from that season. And that's a great mindset to have. I don't think that comes too easily because everybody, not everybody, people want all the seasons for their favorite game. And it
Yeah.
doesn't always, they're not in a position to get that.
Yeah.
Whether the season's not available or the cost could become like if I was to get into hockey, excuse me, and I wanted to start, I know who I am, I need every season. I don't think I feel like investing a few $1,000s right now. I'm not making a
Yeah.
joke about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do get interested in the game because I watched you play it, and it looks like it's a really good hockey game. Playing it the way you play it.
Yeah. Yep. What I've done with, because I kind of settled on Apple as my, at the time, my hockey game. I started buying seasons, one here, one there. I didn't buy them all at once. It was over a few years that I did build up my collection, and now I have pretty much every season I would want to play. There's still a few I could fill in. I think there's a 70s I don't have, and maybe an 80s or a late 60s I might pick up at some point. But I pretty much have what I want as far as applicable. But I didn't just buy them all at once. I did kind of spread it out a little bit. And that's half the fun too. Is if you spread it out, then when those packages arrive, if you get one huge package with 10 seasons, yeah, great. But if you get you go to a couple seasons, you get that. Now I get these 2 seasons. It's great. And then a few weeks later, you order a couple more. Now
Yeah.
you have that joy come in. If you have that bundle of joy all at one time,
No.
you're gonna look for that rush in a few weeks. Even though you
Right.
got 10 seasons in and you haven't
Right.
touched them yet, you're still gonna want that little dopamine hit with that
That's the
package.
key. How many games that we have a ton of seasons for? We might never use a team from one of them.
Yep.
That's sick. That's a
Yep.
sickness that we
That's
all
why.
have.
That's why I make it a point once in a while to take a look at what I have for games and seasons and play a game. And I do the Dave's Classic Rewind, where I go back in time and I pick a game from a season and I put it on my table so I can say, yes, I have played a game from the season, even if it's just one.
You could justify
It's
spending
not
that
saying,
$80. I
I don't
get
know
it.
if I've justified the $90 at all, but at least it's something I'm using because
Right.
it's not a decoration. These are things that I actually use. So it's not like, oh, I bought this new knickknack for the shelf. Well, you can't do anything with a knickknack. It just sits there,
Right.
and then it collects dust after a while, and you got to dust it. Then you throw it away, and you get another
Although
knickknack.
you could shovel mashed potatoes with Joe Bryan's cards and probably wipe them off and they won't even be stained.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. And let me see here. Where am I in the chat? I got lost over here. And Andrew says, "Yeah, the time's too short. No reason to argue. Cuts into my dice rolling." Yeah. And he says he catches criticism over his enjoyment of 19th century baseball, and that's the other thing. If someone's
Shame
playing,
on people for that. That's
someone's playing, was it dead ball? Is that what they call that? And you enjoy it, good for you. If you
Deadpool's
like,
awesome.
I'm not a big fan of modern sports, and I probably mention that too often. But if some people look forward to the new season, good for them. I happen not to follow, so I don't know that much. I'm still tempted to get last season Apple Hockey so I can play a couple of series out.
Right.
I'm tempted because I do have it for 49 highlight hockey, so I could
That's
probably
what I'm
do it.
going to use it for.
I could probably do that too. But part of me likes to play the Apple, so I'm
Hmm.
maybe pick up a season of Apple Hockey so I can play the Florida Toronto series. That would be kind of fun to see if I can knock the Maple Leafs out. Or get McDavid on the table because it's always, there's a couple of guys I know that'd be fun to put
McDavid
on the
might
table.
not make it to the next round in my playoff, so
Oh, jeepers,
we'll
right?
see. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, anytime someone gets mad about the game you play or the seasons you play, come on, that's a little bit much,
And just tell me, because I love 19th century baseball. So does Jamie Marshall. Jamie's really good with it too, like
Yeah.
recalling names and
Oh,
stuff. Yeah.
nice. Oh yeah, he was saying that right here. Yep. Demi comes by and says, "Never in a rush to get a board game. Besides, I never open them anyway. It's terrible. I know. I still have my
Truth.
my
Truth.
college season over here. I have one college season for Bank Shot. It's one that Joe gave me out in Colorado. I haven't opened it yet.
Yeah, because you want to play that game. That's it. That championship.
Yeah, I want to play that
83.
NC State game. Yeah, I do want
I'm
to play that.
listening to Almost Done with a phenomenal audio book, and it talks about Jim Valvano, Mike Krzyzewski, and Dean Smith. It's called The Legends, and he reads it. When John Feinstein reads his own books, it's excellent. And well, we all know. I just got past the part where Jimmy V passed away, and
Mm,
I didn't know him and Krzyzewski were that close, but they talked about when he won that championship with North
nice,
Carolina State.
nice,
Great book.
nice. 5-2 ball says, "I respect all the game designers. We only see the finished product, which is the tip of the iceberg of the effort put in." Oh,
Oh
you're
yeah,
exactly right.
100%.
As someone who's actually play tested a few games and seen the final result from if not the first stages of the game, then the mid stages of the game, it is amazing how much effort goes in, how much tweaking goes in, how much change goes into what happens, and sometimes a whole game engines or parts of the game engines are scrapped
Yep.
because it just doesn't work and they got to come up with a new way of doing it, and yet all that effort is now gone because they
Yep.
didn't use any of it. So
And it's tough on the testers. It's 1,000 times tougher on the programmer or the designer. Because I know what ST's going through with the basketball game, and he's trying
yeah,
to get it out there, but he's not going to rush it. But the ball falls on his lap, so he's got to get it right. We could only do whatever we can do, but he's the designer, and I know what he's going through.
yeah.
It's tough.
Now, Demi also writes in here, goes, "Just look at Battlefield 6 beta. There's lots of haters." I will say one thing about the video game community, which I was a part of for 40 years, is they hate everything. Okay? Anytime a new game comes out, it sucks. It's the worst game. EA is the worst company in the world. Here's my pre-order. That's just what they do. They hate it, and they still buy it. EA is the worst company in the world. Oh, I just bought the new Madden. Madden sucks. I'm going to buy it again. That's what the video game people do. Is they're never happy, and they still buy it. But that's what we do because I did the same thing. I'm trying to zip through the chat here. Let me see. Where are we here? And Mike chimes in and says he likes Pocket Pennant Run, but there were a lot of crashes. Yeah, and they've addressed that. And of course now it's better. Yeah, was it Paul working on that now?
Yeah.
And when I saw him in
Never let
Colorado,
him forget.
that should be almost ready to release pretty soon. I thought he said this fall or towards the end of the year, and he said it was 23 or 26% stability rate, which is not good. That's a lot of crashes. And I agree. I stopped playing it too. And then I heard they had somebody new working on it, and it was Paul. And I sat with him, and we talked for a while. He's a great guy. He has great taste in sneakers, by the way.
Oh boy.
If I ever lost one, I know where to go to get another one. And he said he had as a 97% stability rate in his build, and he's added so much to it. I can't wait to take a look at it because the Pocket Pennant Run game is fantastic. I do. I like Pocket Pennant Run, the game.
Joe likes it too. Joe.
Okay, I would kind of just have the spreadsheet out and you get the ratings. I think I actually in Digital Diamond I put every player from 1979 with ratings so I could play Pocket Pennant Run, and I just need the dice now because my ratings are right on the screen. The game itself is great. The software, yeah, they really just kept trying to make that work, and it just was one problem after another. And at some point, people gave up. And you can't blame them. And it's not through lack of effort. It just, some reason, it just wasn't working, however they were doing it. And so they took a lot of heat for that. And which is too bad because, they were really trying. I think it came free with the game. So you get the game and the software came free. So, but it wasn't working. And that was a legitimate gripe. And a lot of people said that. But I mean, you don't need to go on here every day and say, well, that software sucks. It doesn't work. I think, people struggle that when we get that. So now they're trying to make it better. So I'm hoping that it does get better.
I was just told we crashed, but I don't think it was us because you would know. I think it was one of the people in the chat.
Okay.
And nobody's even commenting there. So
I'm showing still up.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Nobody else commented.
Okay.
I won't say who it was. Joe Cotts. Joe said he thought we crashed. It might have been a glitch on his end.
Okay.
Because I've had that happen when I just tuned in. So he scared me though. Because I looked up at the clock. I said, "Oh, we're still running."
The clock's still going. Yeah. You want to hear? A little funny story about Wednesday night when I had Mike Zaslinski on. We were playing Dynasty League baseball, right? I told him, I was like, just so you know, there's a major storm coming in over here, and it's supposed to come in and out. And it was coming. We get on at 7 o'clock or something like that, and this storm was coming in right around that time. So I says we might lose power, right? We didn't. The storm came in and out. We didn't lose power. 2 streets over from me lost power. That's how close. That's how close it was. And I didn't know until I was done. And people like, yeah, we're up. We don't have any power over here. Like, whoa, cheapest. I says I would have stunk if I was right in the middle of doing that thing with him. We lost power. So
that would have stunk. I had to play a guy online in my Strat football league, and he's in Detroit, and he's like, "We're gonna have a storm coming through," and he said it came through, but it didn't affect none. And we play so fast, like me and him could play a game under an hour easily, and so it was pretty good. I said, I don't even think that storm could catch up. We could play in between them raindrops, so we played quick. But yeah, nothing happened. But we had it the night. When was it I played? Yesterday, the day before. That night came through a lot of rain. I thought they were gonna limit us to car path only, but it was fine. So
I never liked that. If I'm gonna rent a cart, I want to drive it. Cart path only. It's like, never mind. I'll just walk. I can. Yeah, if I'm gonna walk anyway, I'm just gonna walk.
Yep.
I used to have the cart, the little hand pull thing, so I never have to carry my clubs. I just that thing was great. Best
I have one. It's just my legs aren't in shape now. Now you see the ones that remote control.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, well, you might as well hire a caddy.
Yeah. D. Scott comes by. The post has inspired more discussion than any other post this year. Yeah, it did. It did. In a way, I'm kind of glad that it did because there's some things you want to talk about, and that's what we're doing here.
The other thing, Dave, is that if we didn't have the respect or the knowledge that we have of everybody knows who it is, so we wouldn't even be discussing this. It just seems like because it came from like a different angle altogether. But we love the guy. We know he's a good guy. We know.
Yep.
But that's what garnered a lot of this. Too.
It was strange coming from him.
John Doe, or a new guy, probably nobody would have paid it any mind. But because people follow him and they're on the forum, the group, I mean, so yeah, it was going to bring up a lot of discussion.
Yeah, it was just strange. It was just strange how it came down and like out of the blue. Why? I think later on he said that it was something about something happened at work and they had a meeting at work and they was talking about, criticizing or critiquing the way they did things at work. And he just says, why can't the gaming community be held to the same standards? Mm-hmm. It's not that they can't, but if he works at a company that's got more than 20 people, well, that's a lot more than works at, any of the games he talked about. So again, one man show's tough, and that shouldn't excuse you. Yeah. But you do have to keep that in mind that if it is a one man show, and he's he or she's trying to sell a game or a product and the whole bit, that you need to have a little bit less expectations than you would from a larger company.
Well, and everybody refers to Stratomatic as a larger company, one of the biggest companies. Well, if you ever went there and saw how small the building was and how small the work staff is, all of a sudden you'd probably be scratching your head.
Mm.
Okay, and I remember back in the day when I was first able to drive, when I lived in Brooklyn, I drove out there to Bell Parkway. Took me no time at all. I couldn't tell you how many times I sat, and that's how I got to know him, with Hal, and spoke about so many things. And he asked, "What are people saying?" There was no computer game back then. It was all about the board game. What are people saying? What are they doing? What are you thinking it is? I was just a kid to him. I was only 18, 19, 20. But he loved his customer base. He still does. He still does. It's a small group there.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not a big group. But everybody thinks it's a big company because they have a lot of customers. They have a lot of customers because they were good at what they did. And they're still, it's not Hal. That's all I'm going to say. It's not Hal.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And PJet, again, I'm catching up on the chat now. He says he took down his vids trashing Apple Hockey after he gave it a second chance and liked it. And he did leave up to one vid where he criticized the card layout and some of the charts. And again, I talked about this earlier, that PJet's videos about Apple, he wasn't necessarily wrong. And some of his stuff, it just didn't. He didn't like some of the stuff. He didn't care for some of the things, and he didn't like how this worked and that worked. But then when we went back and gave it another chance, for some reason, the second time or the third time through it clicked for him, or it made more sense, or maybe he looked at it differently, or maybe he was having a better day. Because I know I tried to play the game the other night, and I wasn't in a good mood, and I ended up putting the game away.
Mm.
And I think it was more because I just was in a mood, and I was like, oh man, I'm not in the mood for this right now. And I've done that before. I've tried to learn a game, and I want to sit and give it a fair shake, because if I try to rush it and force myself to learn this game tonight, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be mad at it, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
But we've talked second chances a couple times on the show tonight. It doesn't mean you can't go back and try it again. And I do that with all my games. Every game I have here, if I play a game and I don't like it, I put it off. I eventually go back and say, why didn't I like this game? And sometimes it's rare, but sometimes it's
And I
like,
start complaining and putting negative feedback about people that make cheater glasses. These are like $1.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, $1 for $3. Yeah, at CVS. Yeah, $1 for $3. Yeah.
I hate these things, but I can't see.
I know.
Them. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And Michael brings up a good point too. It's hard to detect inflection with a post, but the post came off as a text. That's the other thing is when you write to somebody, and ST brings this up all the time. He's like, if we text back and forth, he goes, it's really hard to, figure out what the person really means when he says something.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, when I was before D2D, Vin was making comments on the Facebook group, and I was like, who's this Vinny guy? All he does is talk
He's
like this.
Jerk.
And it was like, it's like, oh man, this guy's coming up here. It's like, why is he come to this thing? It sounds like he just doesn't want to be here. And then he come up, and then when he started talking, and I was like, that's just kind of how he is and how he talk, and he doesn't mean anything by it.
It's just
but when you read the post, it was like, why is this guy coming if this is how he feels? But it's just kind of how you talked. And when the first time you started talking to us, it's like, okay, I get it now. That's just kind of how he is, and he's not being malicious about anything. But you can't see that in a typed post. You just can't do that,
That's why at times I'll tell people, here's my number. Let's talk that way. It's easier when you discuss it by phone. You hear the person's voice. You hear their intent more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just reading words, you could read them any way you want. Any post, any text, any message anybody's posting, you could reverse it.
Yeah. And Phil writes in after D2D Con.
We don't listen.
Yeah. Sitting around with several game designers, which we had, and the passions about their respective games. These folks do a ton to create these games. I also met people who legitimately changed his life. And that's what, again, there's way more positive in the community. But, you don't want to, and I think the idea behind the post is you don't want to sweep the negative under the carpet and just ignore it and pretend that it's not there. and a lot of times we do that because we want to avoid that kind of talk. But but you see, someone brings up the negative, and next thing you know, we have a super long podcast talking about that.
Yep.
You know,
Next, we
and
can talk about these glasses that I'm ready
yeah,
to rip off my face.
yep.
IDs,
Yeah,
yes, yeah. He's,
his rants are fun. Yeah, they are.
hmm
I haven't seen one in a while from him, um, but yeah,
he's like the Rush Limbaugh of sports
yeah.
gaming.
And Glenn says my skin crawls when I see you post. So what's the best such and such game, or
100%.
what's the more realistic? Yeah, or accurate is another one. Yeah, that's another thing too. Is again, it's all opinion.
hmm
And when people, all the time I get questions, and it's oh, Dave, what's the best game, or what's better, this or this, and it's like, well, it depends what you want for better.
Yeah.
What is better for you. What's better for me is not necessarily better for you, not necessarily better than anyone in the chat.
Yep.
And so that's what you got to keep in mind, is that some games work for me and others don't, and it's the same way for other people.
Just look at him, Mike Kane. You're right, Mike. I got to buy 16 of them instead of 3.
Zach comes by as one of the younger gamers in the mid
I'm
30s.
jealous.
I almost remember my
Mid-30s.
I almost remember that. I almost do. It's refreshing to see a large positive atmosphere surrounding sports tabletop games compared to video games. Yeah, the video games, and I just kind of was joking about that, is very negative. It's like every game is criticized. EA is the worst company. This Activision's the worst company, and they just get bashed. But everyone buys the game. And it's just, I think it's because they're so spoiled that the games are so good that when there's an issue with the game, or if there's a glitch in the game, they make a huge deal about it. But 99% of the game probably works really well, and then they have that one glitch, and it's just like, oh, this game sucks as this. I don't know. I think the video games today look pretty darn good, and I've had a lot of fun with them. I just don't play them anymore. But yes, the video games.
I got a PS5 over there. It's probably
Yeah.
rusting. That's why I look when the little ones come over.
Yeah.
They don't. I tell them, "Want to go play PS5? Here, go downstairs. Let the thing run before it don't spin anymore."
Yeah. And Zach continues on to say, certainly everyone can have an opinion, critiques, and such, but it's nice to look at reviews and not just constantly see it's garbage 0 out of 10. Yeah, and that's why I don't think I ever really rated games. I did when I review a game. When I review it, I like to show you the game, and I like to show you what it looks like. So when you walk away from, I don't even call them reviews anymore. I call them first looks, because this is kind of what the game looks like on my first playthrough. And sometimes I really struggle with it. And it's like, okay, I'm new with it, and it's going to be a while, or I'm having trouble with this. And then sometimes I'll do a second look, or I'll revisit it. I'll revisit a game, because sometimes I have trouble out of the box. But I don't like to give it ratings, because it's different for everyone. I like to show what the game is, what it does, and I like to talk about what I like and what I don't like. And sometimes I find a game that I really, really like, and I'll do an extended video on why I really like it. I still don't give it a rating or something like that, because I don't want to give a game a 5 just because I don't like it, and I don't want to give a game a 10 because I like it. I want to tell you why I like it. And if I like, Apple football because of how the charts handle certain things, if you don't like the charts, then you're not going to like the game. So I'm not going to say, oh, Apple football's a 10 because of this. Well, it's not a 10 for you because you don't like charts. So I'm just going to say, this is what I like about it. This is what I don't like. This is what works. And so that's kind of how I handle reviews.
Right.
And
Stick
like Tap says,
too. Okay.
Yeah, is it accurate? That's another question. It's kind of tough,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't like that question either.
D. Howard, get off my lawn, darn kids. Yep. And Ryan says he's also mid-30s, and it seems like the community maturity makes it more enjoyable. And there's more trolls in the video game. Then again, the video game community is huge compared to what we do. It really is.
Just ecstatic that he said we're mature.
Yeah. Well, we're elders. He's just being nice to the elders, And let's see here. Yeah. Yogi Berra said the restaurant is so busy that nobody goes there anymore. That's funny. I never heard that one.
It's like when place is always crowded. Well, there's a reason it's always
Yeah,
crowded.
yeah,
Food's good,
yeah.
you
We
know?
we we went to Cape Cod one time, probably like 20 years ago. Me and the wife. I don't even know if we were married at the time. And we went down and visited her brother. We walked around Cape Cod, and we were getting hungry, so we were right down there on the water. And so there was these two seafood restaurants, one next to the other. One had a line out the door, and the other one had no line at all.
Oh, that reminds me of SpongeBob.
And so, yeah,
Krusty Krab and
the
the
chum
chum
bucket.
bucket.
And so the line to Krusty Krab was out. And I was like, man, we're hungry now. It's like, do we dare go to the chum bucket because there's nobody in line? And so we went in and we got served. And yeah, and I don't think anybody got sick, but it was definitely like,
Chum.
yeah. Now I know why everybody was in line at the other place, but we were hungry and had to eat. So yeah, there's that. And Zach also brings up a point that people talk about when it comes to accuracy. Al Wilson always says, if accuracy is more important than gameplay, just rewatch the game on YouTube. And that, yeah, we talk about that all the time.
1,000% right.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do we all talk about that too? Yeah. And Ron brings that up all the time. If you want a 100% accurate game, just go watch the game on YouTube. Yeah. Go watch it somewhere.
Box score.
Yeah, because that's we're here to play the game. Well, speak of the devil. Yep. He's in here watching here too. Yep.
You just called poor Al a devil.
Did I? But we have a few devils. We had a P-Jet's to speak of the devil too, right?
It's funny how he just popped up after we were talking about him.
And yeah, he's stopping in to say hi tonight.
I do love this community. I do.
And who's this Raymond Barrett guy? Any idea who that is? I think all of us as humans have our moments we would like to rethink. I have one every hour. I'd like to rethink what I did. And we make mistakes, learn to move on. The author of this controversial post has a great history of positivity. Yes, he is. And that's why this was so weird and coming out of him. And I just wondered what kind of triggered that. Yep. And it's something we're talking about here. And again, people aren't necessarily disagreeing with everything he said. There's a few things that, and Al says he just wanted to say I'm hurt that he didn't criticize one of his games. Yeah, your game wasn't brought up on the list. Maybe that'll be in the next one. Maybe that'll be in chapter 2. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that means if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Al.
Work harder.
Yeah, right. And Joe says, back to 49 hockey. Says that's what happened to him in Connecticut. He saw the guys gather around to play 49 hockey. He's like, "What's this game with all these tokens?" Yeah, I felt the same way. And then
I didn't see it being played there.
Yep, I just missed the setup. Just missed the setup. And Parallel League says he has nothing but love for Al Wilson and Fascinating Baseball. That's such an interesting game, Fascinating Baseball. I haven't played it in a while. But I'm kind of thinking you get your quick play baseball, and baseball plays quick on its own. If you, like Apper and Strat Basic. So I'm like, how is this going to fit in? And it finds that little nook between a fast play, like a final score game, in a full out baseball game that plays quick. It somehow he worked it in. I don't know how he did it, but it was like, yeah, this fits right here, and it fits really nice. It just, that game just kind of works right there.
You know how I often say I don't care how long it takes me to play games, which is another question I won't address. And I'll say that because everybody's different. And some people hate long play games. I don't mind them. But I don't like long play baseball games. Because I don't need a reason for them. Like, if the game takes an hour, that's fine. But I don't think that any baseball game should take an hour. Like more than an hour, keeping full box score sheet, and all of that. I
think it depends. I like the faster play baseball games too, but every now and then, excuse me, like the APA Master Baseball. I haven't played it in a long time, so I'll have to go back and relearn it. But that would take me forever to play. But I just kind of liked all the different things you checked in the game. It felt more baseball. And sometimes I want that, and sometimes I don't. And that's where Dynasty League Baseball was too. It is way more baseball at times.
Too
at
much.
times, and a lot of times that is too much for me too. But every once in a while, I do want that Thanksgiving dinner. And there was a couple games of Appa Master I played that were so cool because every hit to the outfield, I was checking to see if the runner wanted to advance the base. And it really felt like you could see the runner coming around second, looking over his shoulder, like, should I try for third? And that was on every hit. And I enjoyed that. And the fact that there's a huge difference on a hit with Mickey Rivers in the outfield and Dwight Evans in the outfield.
Right. But I
And
still
that's what
like it.
made that shine for me, was that instead of just getting a single one base or a single two base, which is faster, that it brought in individual players from the outfield, and that you had their arm strength, and that, if you hit a single in the right field, you're not going to third on Dwight Evans, at least prime Dwight Evans. You're not doing that. Mickey Rivers, every hit in the center field, I'm taking the extra base on Mickey Rivers because his arm just wasn't there. And that's what made that really click for me. And then Joshua says, my early Apple videos and evolution of his view of the game are hilarious, but also very instructive about how our attitude can change. And I think so too. Yeah. And he says Apple football. Yeah. In the beginning, I left those up, and because I wanted to see how I struggled in the beginning, and I wasn't enjoying it, and I was doing it all wrong. And then when I finally settled down and took my time, now it's one of my favorite games. It really is. Um, and let's see here. I'm just kind of flipping down over here. Yeah, you know what the problem with some of the games is? Square corners. Yeah, I agree. Parallel League. We need to round those corners.
I got a
You know.
lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
Nobody
Um,
wants to work anymore around here.
games are like music, different tastes for different people. And me and Vin were talking about that in the pregame show. We were talking a little bit about how I like my rock heavy metal, and he said that he's not a big fan of that, but it nobody's wrong. That's okay. You
Yeah, like
know.
I said, I'm not even a big music guy. I do listen to it. It's a different, taste of. I grew up with the Allman Brothers and the Dead and all of that. But I told Dave, the most of the time I'm driving in silence. But if I'm driving with him and he says, "Hey Vin, can we put a certain channel on?" and it's heavy metal, I don't care. I just don't turn it on. It's not like I couldn't tell you who played what. I might leave the car liking it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say, no way, dude, that
Yeah.
stuff is
Well,
terrible.
well,
Now, I might put my foot down on rap music because that's never getting played in my car.
some of it, I thought the same way. Some of it's kind of catchy though. It's just all the same.
If
I
it's
bet you
vulgar, it's
if I
not going on.
if I put on some Motorhead or Pantera, you'd be into it. You'd be banging your head by the time we get out of the car.
I don't mind banging my head. It keeps things, a little loose.
Rabid Wolverine comes by. Vinny has been super helpful for me. So
Oh,
has
hey,
Dave.
my man. We
Yeah,
haven't spoken in a few days.
the community has always been kind whenever I ask questions. It's really amazing community, and it is an amazing community, and that's
Mhm.
why it's really weird when you get a negative post that we've been talking about for 2 hours here with the chat room. And again, we've said this over and over tonight. It's not that you can't do that, and I think some people were like, "Oh, it's nice to see a negative post for a change." Well, maybe it's a change of pace, but at the same time, um, negativity. I don't know. It's like I guess it has its uses. Let's put it that way. It has its uses, um, but it just leads to when you do stuff like that. It just leads to people banging heads, and people defending their favorite games, and it can be kind of yucky. It can be. And Michael says he finished with my strat commitments. I played my first highlight hockey game during the chat. Stick with it. That game gets so much better once you get into the flow of what you need to do and what you're looking at. That game goes like this.
Yeah, it's
It
great.
really does. It took me a little while to get used to what I was reading on the cards, but it works out so nice. Um, and let's see, back to the chat here. And Stick Tap said he's going to go play some payoff pitch. Thanks for coming by. He's going to turn off his distractions and play 76 Yankees and Orioles.
Have
Yeah,
fun.
that's what I've been playing. I've been playing 76 with my payoff pitch too, playing the Red Sox, enjoying some of that. And Dragon's Lair. Yeah, that's the little icon we were talking about earlier. Yeah,
I remember that
I thought it
game.
was Excalibur, but I think it was Dragon's Lair. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm slowly catching up now on the chat room. I'm getting a little bit closer now. It was a very lively discussion, and I purposely kind of saved it to the end to talk about it. And Dave Little, who used to deliver phone books and then went to delivering iced coffees at Digital to DiceCon. Yeah, I had someone grab me a coffee. I forget who it was. It's like, I'm going to Dunk's. I was like, yeah, I need a coffee.
Somebody
Absolutely.
brought me an iced coffee too.
It was kind of like, when I was in Colorado, I kept getting rides down to Shake Shack. That place was great. I went to the one up here in Massachusetts, by the way. I took the wife there. She's like, yeah, it wasn't bad. It just was a long drive through a lot of traffic, but it was good. I didn't get the shake. Next time I'll get the shake. But Shake, I love the burgers at Shake Shack. I really did like that. And Joe's going to be rolling some shootout hockey again. Yep, again
Yeah,
he
they're
stuck with it.
playing
You
some.
know, you know.
They're gonna get together Sunday.
Um,
They're gonna be sleeping over him and Phil Thursday night. If
yeah.
they snore, though, I'm coming down there and smother them.
Sean, you missed a good one. It was all about negativity. Yeah, this was your show. We should have had you on. I'm kidding, of course. I'm, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I really am. Um. Oh,
Oh, it
let's
was
see
Dave
here.
Little, Joe said. Was it Dave that went for our coffee? I'm sorry, Dave.
Was it?
Thank
Was
you.
it? I'm not sure who it was. There was a couple people that went. Because I just couldn't get out of there. To do what I needed to do. Because I would have been over there all day. Sean comes by and says constructive criticism is fine, but in the end, play what you like. It
Yeah.
depends on what you are looking to get from the game. It's about approach and perspective. Yep, that's exactly it. Yep, yep, yep. And Barbara's getting into strat baseball a little bit more. And she's another one. She struggled with the first game. Not I would say struggle, but she had the first game was kind of a dud. And she's like, Dave, I don't know about this game. My first game was a dud. Nothing was happening, and the whole bit. And it's like, well, if every game turns out that way, then yeah. But I says play a few more. I says you're gonna get those exciting moments, but you're gonna get duds. We all get duds. But it's always nice when you don't have a dud at the beginning because when you get off on the right foot with a game, oh man, the game is so much better if you get off on the right foot. But when you have a couple games that are like, bleh, then you're like, man, I don't know if this game's for me. And sometimes it takes a while.
But that's when you try to focus on like one play. Like even with my Nolan Ryan replay, he's 0-2 with 1 no decision. First 2 games, it was like pedestrian strikeouts. Last game, he struck out 14. They had a 4-0 lead. But in the other 2 games, I'm looking, oh, wow, Bobby Valentine's having a good game. Maybe you go 4 for 4. You focus on the little things because you're going to have, especially if you like the game, you're going to have more fun games than not if you like the game.
Yeah.
So,
But if you stick with it, you gotta give it. And we talked sample size earlier. You can't just play one game or two. You gotta give it 5 or 10 full games and see if by that point there you'll get the mechanics of the game, and then you realize if you like the mechanics. The game itself could be terrible, a 1-0 game or a 10-0 game. We all have them, but it is the game fun to play. And Phil says Appa Hockey is going to be making it to his table this fall. Any questions, Phil? Let me know.
I didn't know he had it. Okay.
I did a ton of videos on it. I've done a lot of slow play with that too, so I'm kind of hoping the videos will help. You're still waiting for the thrashes on Dave's Classic Rewind. Yes, I do have the thrashes for a couple of seasons for Appa, so we'll get them on the channel for sure. Let's see here. Where else are we now in the chat room?
I'm
here?
watching Dave and Joe go back about who brought that coffee. Dave swears he didn't. Joe swore he did.
I don't think it was Dave Little. I don't think it was Dave Little. There was somebody I didn't know. At least at the time, I didn't know.
I didn't know.
And he's like, "Hey, I'm going. You want to?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I tried to give him $5. He said,
Exactly.
"No, I'll just get it." Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody did. I don't think it was Dave. Dave Little's not that type of guy, Vin. He's really not. He's not that type of guy.
No.
No.
I don't know. I think he'd run. If we needed something, he'd run.
Yeah, if you needed a phone book, he'd say, "Hey, is his Duncan in the phone book if you want to call?"
Oh,
Yeah.
that works. We all have cell phones now. Wait, Phil just said, I have just the Appa Hockey game, not any seasons. Bro,
Oh, you got to
We
get
got to
get
fix
get.
that because I don't think you could play without a team. Actually, two teams.
You need to get your favorite team a favorite season, and that will make a world of difference. And bring back the bullpen carts. Oh my gosh, yeah, I love those things. I used to have a couple of those cars that had the remember they had the hats on top of the golf carts.
Okay.
Oh man, I would collect the whole set of those. It really would.
Now they make
Um,
them run in.
and Michael says I met some of the designers. I felt the need to defend them. No, I get that, and that's what we do is when someone gets negative. That's why negativity. I guess you got to have it, but it can just lead to people wanting to defend the game or the people that did it, um, and so that's why I think we kind of avoid that, and I avoid that here on my channel and on the podcast too, because there's just no. If it's not the game for me, it's not the game for me.
Hmm.
And if I have an issue with, you know, the cards or how many cards you get or how thin the cards are or how fast I get them or the PDFs if they're not or whatever they are, then that's a game you avoid and just go with the ones that you enjoy.
Hmm.
And I think we've touched on a lot of things, a lot of that talk here tonight. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping we kind of, Vin, I'm kind of hoping we made our point that we're not trying to call anybody out.
Well, I
We're not
think he
trying to
knows
say,
how we feel about him
yeah,
and anybody else who, if you're normally a positive guy and, I'm not, you're allowed to have an opinion.
yep,
I just don't like to see people ripping somebody apart. If you don't like something, that's fine. Lay out the reasons why you don't like it. Fine. I just don't think anybody needs to be like bashed about it. Like the biggest
yeah.
problem I had was when and I think Steve Shaw called them out, saying like, when you say you're embarrassed that you even have that game,
That was a little much.
and that's the one that said this can't be him. It's
Yeah,
almost thought somebody hacked him.
yeah, yeah,
I was like, that's not the way because I know the way he is with the
yeah,
gaming community.
yeah. He's always been a positive guy. So something must have happened that triggered that for him to make that post, which is kind of weird. Michael brings up another good point. Ratings are subjective based on what you are looking for, and ratings is a whole nother thing that we really didn't get into tonight, Vin. And people get real worked up about ratings, and I think that was one of the things he might have brought up too in his thread. And I know ST has got some heat for some of the things that he's done as far as ratings and others too. I mean, how can you rate John Elway X
Yep.
and then also Steve DeBerg X? Well, if you go and you look at that season and you look at the numbers tell a different story. And that's what we're doing. We're based on numbers. So even though we all agree that John Elway was a better quarterback than Steve DeBerg on a certain season, maybe it wasn't Elway's best effort. Maybe DeBerg had a good outcome.
Right.
When I play the 71-72 finals, and I played it in Bones and I played it in Apple Hockey, the Rangers destroy the Bruins. They wipe out the Bruins. The Bruins don't have a chance. And when I look at the ratings, the Rangers' scoring range is ridiculous compared to the Bruins' scoring range. When I look at like Esposito for the Bruins compared to like Rod Gilbert or somebody like that for the Rangers win every battle. So when I roll the dice, the Bruins are never in range, and the Rangers were always in range because they had higher numbers to work with. And Ron and I sat down one time and we went right to Hockey Reference. We looked around. He's like, "Well, look at this, Gilles Gilbert, Rod Gilbert. I think it was Rod Gilbert. His shooting percentage was 20%.
Yeah.
So if you calculate, the goalie rating and the shooting range, that should be pretty close to 20%. And that's why the Rangers are winning all those. Now, in real life, the Bruins won in 6 games. But if you look at just the season data,
Right.
that's why Esposito wasn't rated as high as Rod Gilbert. So ratings is a whole nother thing that
You
you
know,
can get into.
and the other night, I forget his name, the Dynasty, Mike. when he was saying, "Well, we're the only ones that do that for ratings." Well, I don't know if Mike Kane is privy to what Stratomatic does for their ratings, but I know Glenn Guzzo was knee deep with them, and the discussions, and it's in his book too that he wrote. Don't they do all they can, all the research? It's not just based on Gold Gloves because the Gold Glove winners are a farce. They
Mhm.
became a farce. When Rafael Palmeiro won a Gold Glove when he played like half the season as a DH,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
award went out the window.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. That's kind of weird.
but Mike Silver's back bothering us. Mike, this is always my voice. I don't need honey.
Dave
Anyway,
Little says, I never hated or disliked the game. I play what I like, and the rest of the stuff I don't pay attention to.
right,
And that's kind of how it should be.
right.
If there's games that just, not for me, so I'm not going to bring them up. And if you play them, enjoy them, good for you. Good for you.
Yep. But again, don't think, you're not the only company out there. These companies work as hard as they think they need to fulfill the goal they're looking for in hopes that we like it. I mean, ST takes over 11 hours to create one team. You tell me he's not looking at ratings? Clay don't put out seasons like every other day. You tell me he's not looking at ratings? You know? They all do the best they can. They're doing research. I know Stratomatic went deep into, like Mike talked about, talking to scouts. Well, guess what? So did they. They have professional ball players that play their game.
Yeah.
Keith Hernandez, it's a known fact, plays their game.
Yeah.
Steve Barkin, who passed away, he was a good friend of mine. He was personal friends with him. You don't think he picked his brains on the National League plays on their defense? You got to be nuts if you don't think so.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
Keith
yeah.
Hernandez.
Yeah. And Joe tried to get some Apple hockey, but he said they don't take PayPal. Really, they don't take PayPal? I don't know if maybe they don't. I know a lot. I order a lot with my PayPal. Maybe they don't. If you do get Apple hockey and you get stuck, let me know. I love talking about that game, and we can run through it here.
And if you want to spend some of that balance on your PayPal, I'll give you some things I'm looking at and you can get them for me.
Nice.
Right? I think that's fair.
Let's see here. I'm almost caught up on the chat. I'm sorry, I've been a little bit behind here. And PJ says Dave knows how good the 69-70 Blues are on the tabletop versus Boston in the finals. Yeah, you know how many times that the Blues have beaten the Bruins? I think they beat them in shootout. There was a quick play game I played. The Blues beat it. The Blues give the Bruins the run for the money, if not win outright. And then they've never been swept. The Bruins have never swept the Blues in any 69-70 replay. So, and Barbara's got the same problem with glasses and a headset. Yep. And we need some honey tea for the old voice box. Don't laugh, Mike. Don't laugh. When I get home in hockey season,
water.
when I get home from doing hockey games, I make some tea and put a bunch of honey in it, and it really does help my throat. When I get home after broadcasting a couple of games, especially like 3 games, I'm just oof.
Joe Cod's being a wide guy. I listened to your live stream today with the kids playing. It was fun. It was fun when you were doing the announcing and I like how you memorized those kids' names.
Oh, those were adults.
What?
This morning's games, yeah.
Those were adults?
Yep.
Wow, they look like they could have played in the Wizard of Oz then.
Oh, yeah, from a distance. Yeah, no, that's the adult league I run, and it's really slow, so it's nice and easy. It's so and that's why I had some fun with them. I would give them some ribbing, and especially the first couple of periods. Third periods, I get serious, but I did have some fun ribbing with those guys, as I like to do. But that I have no place else to put it, so that goes on my YouTube channel, and I have a playlist for them, so I can just kind of direct them there, and if they want to go see it, they could do it. Let's see. D. Scott says, actually, I've passed on many games without playing them. Just looking at the system, I'm smart enough to know that games are not for me, and seeing them on YouTube, don't need to play them for myself. I will say one thing, though, D, is I agree with you on that. Sometimes you see a game being played and you're like, yeah, I don't like that. That's why when I show a game, I try to show how it plays, like what the card looks like, if it's a card, or I try to give you an idea what you're looking at in the game, and then maybe how it plays. I like to show that off. And that's just because that's what I would like to see. If there's a game I've never seen, I want to see it get in depth. And I don't necessarily need to see somebody playing it, but just show me the cards. And somebody did that with Bank Shot. And I forget who it was, and I apologize who it was, but someone did a super job with their cell phone. And they went, here's this, and here's the roll, here's that, and then here's the rebound. And just moving around with his cell phone, zooming in on the cards, it was a 10-minute video. And that helped me immensely with Bank Shot basketball. And so that's what I like to do. I like to kind of show you what the game is, and it's if it's something you might like to play. I will say though that sometimes what you see on YouTube is vastly different than what appears on your tabletop. Most of the time for the better. There's been a couple times that I put stuff on my tabletop after watching on YouTube. I was like, oh, this is very different. Most of the time though, when you have it in front of you, it is way better than what you see on YouTube. I will say that. It is way better. So there's only so much you can do with a YouTube video. Sometimes you just can't get the feel of it. I try to do the best I can. There's a lot of people that do the best they can too. And one of the things is one of the games is History Maker Golf from Play. I watched so many videos on that years ago before I bought it. And I was like, yeah, it looks all right. It looks really complicated, but I'll get it. And once I got that on my table, it's like nobody could do that game justice. Nobody in a video could make Play History Maker Golf look good, or as good as it was on my table. And that's still such a fun game. But nobody's video, nobody's video could make that game look good.
Next weekend, Mike Silva. Next weekend.
Back here in the chat.
Mike broke 3 fingers on vacation.
Yeah, my hockey days are on hold too. I haven't played I think I played once in a year. I might try to play tomorrow.
It was real hockey. Tape them up, and that's it.
You can't get your fingers in a glove. One finger maybe, but
in a glove.
Not 3. You got no strength.
Get the equipment manager to cut out a piece, slide them right in, and just give them the lumber.
And Zach says a great example. History Maker Golf terrified me watching videos, but it's one of his favorites. Yeah. And that's why, like I say, that's why I say try whatever you want to try. And just because I don't like it, or just because I think it's great, you might have a completely opposite opinion of a game, but you don't know until you try it. That's the thing. You don't know unless you try it. And that was the same thing with the Dynasty. It says Swedish Jeff comes by. He's talking about Mike Soslinski the other night. I didn't think I'd really like Dynasty League baseball game. I played a little bit on the computer. It was okay. And, I got a little bit of it. But when we actually started rolling some of the game after he went through how to play it all and the whole bit. And I was kind of like glossing over a little bit. When we finally played it, I was like, whoa, this really isn't that bad. And I was telling people, it's like, I actually might want to give this a shot now that I played it, but watching other people play it and having just him read the rules to me. But once I started playing it, once I started playing it was kind of, it was coming. It was making its way. I was intrigued by it, Alan says, here's this thing we never heard of. Roger Bear's Violent World of Pro Hockey. Well, actually, this is it right here. It was renamed. All right. I don't want to unplug everything here. I think this is it right here, right? It's everyday hockey, right? I think that's the update there. It's called everyday player hockey or everyday
Somebody
hockey.
asked about that today.
Yeah. And I think
said he's not doing any more updates on
everyday player hockey. Yeah, it's mostly older seasons. And you have this it's really weird. It's got this shot zone chart. And
so that's the old Rod Jobert game?
I think this is the old Rod Gilbert's World of Violent Hockey. I
Violent World of
think,
Hockey. Isn't
I
that a
think
nice name?
If PJet's here, he could probably tell me more on that. But I think that became everyday player hockey, and that's one of the first games I got cards and dice. And it's mostly older seasons. It's a team card, to almost like 49 highlight hockey,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all right. I need to go back and play because I haven't played it in 5 or 6 years anyway. But I think that's where it came from. I think that morphed into everyday player
I
hockey.
think
I
you're right.
believe.
I think I heard that years ago. Yes.
So I don't know if PJ's still here or not. If he can clarify that, but I think that's what it became. Joe Card says it was renamed Pro Hockey, so maybe
Hmm.
that's not the one I have.
I thought it was.
I do have a Pro Hockey game. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking about. The Rod Gilbert's game became Pro Hockey. Hey, all right, Vin, entertain the crowd for a second. I want to grab that game.
I don't know how to play an instrument. No, this has been a great discussion, lively discussion, civil. Um, like I said, I tell you guys, I love this hobby. I'm going to defend it to no end. I'm not a fanboy of any game. Um, I'm fine with criticism. I'm not fine with insulting. Now, I'm not saying he went there. The one I took issue with was when he said he was embarrassed that he owned a certain game. I just felt like that was kind of stepping on the neck of those who designed it. But there are definitely too many fanboys out there, and those are the ones that are going to cause you a problem. You play a certain game, all of a sudden it's not right. I play a certain game, it's not right, and it is right. It's fine. It's whatever you enjoy. Life's too quick. Life's too quick. I'm going to be 64 next month. I felt like last year I was 18. I don't know what happened to all
I
that
don't know
fun.
if this is it.
Oh, I had that game too, but
It
I don't.
Yeah, somebody gave me Two-Door Games NHL strategy. So I don't know if this is the Violent World. I'm not 100% sure. I thought I had the newer version of that game, but maybe I'm really wrong with that.
Joe said he has the original game. I've heard of the original Rod Gilbert, Violent World of Hockey.
Yeah, he just sent me a picture of it. Okay, I do remember seeing that. I'm not
Tudor
sure.
games. Wow. Okay. My
Yeah, I'm
friend
not
just
sure
bought
what.
that company, the electric football and all of that.
Oh, really?
Hmm. Yeah, Joe, matter of fact, was dealing. Wonderful guy. He was in the electric football hobby, of course, big time. Guy Brian Nutt, wonderful, wonderful guy. Smart, smart guy. And
Yeah, I'll have to look in there because I knew that there was um, Roger Whale Violent Hockey. It was kind of weird that it would be called that.
oh, see if I could show this.
But I'm trying to think what it became.
I don't know if we can see that. Hold on.
Oh yeah, that's the cover there. Yeah, Pro Hockey. Yeah,
That's the game.
yeah,
No, I don't have it. Joe sent me that picture. Thank you, Joe. You the man.
yeah.
He's the
I
best.
don't know what it became. I thought it became everyday player hockey, but maybe I'm wrong. I
Mike
thought
Stover,
that's
don't
what
you
it
got
became.
to ice your fingers? Like, what are you insulting me again?
And
He's a
Raymond
wise guy,
thinks
this
Rod
guy.
Gilbert became breakaway action hockey.
Mike, I must have killed about 100 flies that night.
Um, yeah, it became some. I thought it would change into something, and we don't really need to kind of get on that rabbit hole
Yeah.
right now.
Mr.
But
Fenner, Dave won't be in Canton this year. We're not
it,
going to discuss that, but he's not going.
Mike's flying.
Yep.
Mike's flying out, and that kind of killed anything uh, for me, sadly. Um, okay, yeah, everyday player hockey is based on this game. Yeah, so the one I have here
I think Mike Silver's taking an extra painkiller or something. I don't know what's going on with him tonight. He's on a roll, bro.
Oh boy. No, I haven't been to Cooperstown, Fenner. I'm kind of hoping to get there if they have some kind of a thing going on. That's a little bit more drivable for me, and hopefully things will settle down in my life so I can do that a little bit better.
You were right, Dave. Everyday hockey.
Okay.
I
Okay.
thought I heard that too.
Okay. Okay. It did become everyday player hockey. Okay, so I do have that. Okay.
And I
Alrighty.
appreciate you, Mike, very much.
Okay. Um, and Vinny was assaulted by
Oh,
flies.
Dave,
Okay.
it was horrible.
Oh, was it? Was that in Connecticut?
Oh my gosh.
Really? I didn't hear this story.
They made us sit outside.
Hmm.
I think there was about 9 of us. And the flies. And she says, well, they just used the manure on the greens and the so you put us out here? I'm like, we can't do this. I've got the towel, the napkin, and I'm swatting fly. Not even making a dent. They're dead all over the place. I think it was Alex I was sitting next to. The waitress comes over. I'm hitting flies off of her. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, they're all over you." Her shoes must have been like from spilling stuff and everything.
Oh
The
yeah.
flies were. It was disgusting, disgusting. They finally moved us inside. It was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's tough. You got to be outside at a certain
No, it
time. Yeah.
wasn't Steve Shaw, and you better be careful insulting him. You see the size of him? It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. He's a
James
big
Hart.
boy. Yeah.
Totally different size.
Oh, too funny.
James Hart could fit inside Steve Shaw.
Yeah. So, oh well, why don't we wrap this up here? I know we still got a lot of people
Oh,
watching
it was
here.
Andrew. I'm
but-
sorry. It was okay. It was
Oh,
you.
Andrew.
It was disgusting.
Okay, yeah, that's funny. So just to wrap up what we're talking about here. So episode 278 of the Digital Dice podcast, we were in front of a live studio audience, if you will, as I used to say, and we talked about constructive criticism. You know, kind of looking at the last couple of days on the Digital Dice Facebook group. We had a post or two go up. Talking about some of the negative things in games, and then they also brought up some of the positive things in a second post. It just was kind of weird how it all happened, and the comments were all over the place as you would expect, and that's kind of what happens with a negative post is that you're going to get all kinds of reactions to it. You're going to get people agreeing with you, people that are going to defend certain games and disagree with you, and but I just think the original poster and a couple other people were kind of happy about it because it just felt like they couldn't post anything bad about a game. And that shouldn't be the case.
No.
But if you're posting bad just for the sake of posting bad and just trying to cause a problem,
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean you can't have a discussion about things. And we've gone over a whole thing about, we're passionate about games. Our opinions of games really kind of sway how we think about games. There's no perfect game. Have you even played the game instead of just looked at it? And a lot of these companies are small companies, one-man operations. I get it. You're spending your money, so you need to have some kind of expectations to get some value for your money. I get it. Doesn't mean that you can excuse everything they do. So we talked about that, but neither are they a Fortune 500 company. That this is not the NFL we're dealing with here, where they have millions of people working on their stuff here. This is not Microsoft. This is just one person doing stuff for fun. We had Grant Fines on last weekend, and and he just I try to work a little bit in the morning, a little bit at night on my stuff, and I try to answer emails as quick as I can, and that's how most of these companies are. Most of these people are. Yep. They're just regular people like you and me.
And you know what, Dave? We didn't mention, and I know you believe this too, and everybody out there, you know your value in a community. So sometimes you have to be real careful because what your opinion is weighs a lot more than what John Doe's opinion is. And you could really turn the tide on somebody or the company. That's all. You got to watch.
Yeah, this is true. someone who's been on the air for 7 years, or starting year 7, or well, maybe longer. When did I start? It was 2019, I think I started on YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah, there is a little bit more on my shoulders, and probably your shoulders now too. Now that you're on the show, and on Ron's shoulders, and people like that. Al Red Sox fan and guys like that are on YouTube. And so our opinion, is has a little bit of sway, I would say. And if we like a game, that we want to check it out. If we don't like a game, they might want to stay away from it. But that's why I try to avoid some of that stuff, because what I enjoy in games, other people might not, and what I don't like, other people might like. And
Mhm.
there's a whole list of games we can go down, and you like and I don't, or I like and you don't, or Ron likes and I don't, or Al likes and I don't, and nobody's wrong. Nobody's wrong. And you might like how a game plays, maybe you don't like how a game plays. It just, and and there's different, especially with the board games, they do it different ways. Sometimes you have team cards. Sometimes you have player cards. Some cards are better than other cards. Some games have more seasons. And people can complain about the ratings.
Mhm.
And we talked about that a little bit. Just because John Elway's rated the same as a mediocre quarterback doesn't mean it's wrong. That just might be the numbers. But we think because it's Elway, he's unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
when I first started playing strat hockey, I couldn't believe how many times Bobby Orr turned the puck over. Bobby Orr never turned the puck over, ever. He's Bobby Orr,
Right.
right?
Right. Never made a
That was in
mistake.
my head.
Right.
Why wouldn't everything be a goal on his card? Because it's not a goal. It's not. And when I go back, and sometimes I'll catch instead of just highlights, like if you watch highlights from anybody, they're the best player ever. And I'll watch 5 or 10 minutes of an actual game, and Bobby Orr made mistakes.
Mhm.
I don't remember Bobby Orr making mistakes. That's how I remember it. So sometimes
Our idols never did.
yeah. And so now we think that they should be rated higher because that's how we feel about them. But if you break it down by the numbers, and numbers don't lie, this is what he should be rated. And that hurts a lot of feelings too.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
And so Jeff
I
says,
think
support your small business. Yet we take risks, and again, people that support the show here, it's that's very important to help keep us going here. That's for sure. And Mike says, great civil conversation with great contributions. Yep, it was. And says it was well moderated by me and Vin. Yeah, we just got to steer the ship in the right direction. And with great power comes great responsibility. Heavy is the crown, right? I guess that's how that goes. No, Marco is not going to come on with that other game. That's not going to happen. It might, you know. Oh man. And PJet says there's a video on YouTube of Ivan Bolrav at the Seals faking out Orr and scoring. Oh, I don't doubt that. I tend to think that Orr just couldn't do anything wrong out there, but there was a lot of mistakes out there. Pinching when he shouldn't have, and coughing the puck over, and just not covering the man.
but he was so much fun to watch.
He was. And so Barbara comes by and says, "Thanks, good show, tactful with respect." Yeah, we just wanted to talk about it, and again, we didn't want to talk down about any one person or anybody that replied to anything there. Everyone has their opinions. It just was weird, and I thought we should need to talk about mostly constructive criticism. Why I don't like to do it here on the channel or on my podcast. Why I try to keep the negativity to a minimum. It's not that I want to avoid anything, but I just think, like there was one comment that said, I think we all kind of know what he was talking about, but do we need to keep bringing it up?
There's no secrets with all the stuff that was listed.
Yeah, the companies that he listed, his issues were not wrong.
Joshua's becoming one of my favorites. He plays data boxing and he bakes.
Oh, I like. Maybe he'll send us some cookies. That'd be great.
Oh, man.
Cookies are so good. Yeah, but I mean, everybody has their and that's why we didn't take the post down because it's
there's no reason. Yeah,
Why are we
Yeah.
going to take it down? If he get on there and attacked somebody, a
Yes.
member of the community, that's different. He did
Yep.
not do that. He put his
No.
opinion out about games,
And I don't
and
think he would do it.
some of it was different things about different games, and some of the things I think we're all kind of we can't disagree with, and some we can kind of go back and forth on, and some we're indifferent about. And it was weird, but so I just want to come on here tonight, here in episode 278, to talk about why I try to avoid that negativity. There's plenty of negativity in the world. We don't need to do that. We don't need to put pressure on our game developers because they're mostly single people or
Yep.
doing this by themselves or with their family. And like someone else said, if you give them too much crap, they're not going to do it anymore. They're just going to
Right.
say, I don't need it. And do we want that? Do we want people shutting down? Do we, because they didn't meet our expectations? If something's really bad and they need to fix it, it's fine. And I think that's what he was going with, is that why not mention this so maybe they'll make things better? It's a weird way to do it, calling somebody out on what they do wrong, but I think that's what he was going with. I don't know how much malicious intent was there, but it was just kind of weird reading all those things he talked about. But anyway, so we're going to wrap this up here. Boy, this was a long show, as I kind of knew it would be. I knew this would be a big one, especially if we went live, because we had so many things to talk about and so many people with their opinions. And I got to say, the chat room was pretty good tonight for
Yeah.
the most part. There wasn't really anything I saw that I needed to avoid for the most part.
No.
So except the Godzilla comments, that was
Yeah, that was bad.
that was uncalled for. Yeah, we don't want to do
And
that
Joshua
anymore.
Bacon. I don't know how to bake.
Oh my
If
gosh,
I did, I'd be dead.
I can't do bacon. I try to put the flour down and put the dough, and the dough always sticks and gets all messy, and then I get mad and just, oh man. And Sean comes in at the end and says something pretty good. He says, it is a love-hate relationship with many developers. People are different. I think most recognize that. Yep. And I don't know if there's so much hate. I just think there's sometimes there's a disappointment that expectations aren't met. And sometimes those expectations aren't met, and they have a very, very valid point for being upset with somebody. So let's just not forget that when people complain about things, some of it is spot on, and it does fall on the creator of the game, the developer, or
Mhm.
whether they're not getting the product out in time, or whatever it is. So some of that falls on them, but keep in mind that most people kind of run in this just out of the side room at the house, and they're doing the best they can. And to try to expect Amazon delivery out of some of these people is not realistic. But at the same time, going a week or two without some kind of communication, that's very disappointing and disheartening as well. So there's got to be a medium ground that we need to have. We need to lessen our expectations, but also not just give them a free pass every time something doesn't go right or whatever it is. So
Yeah, I don't know of a
anyway,
game that I hate. I know there's games I don't like. There's people I hate, but that's another story. We don't do chats on that.
yeah, I try not to hate anybody. I just, if there's
And
someone
it's
I don't
hard,
like,
but
I just stay away from them.
yeah.
If I
Um,
don't like somebody, you know. But anyway, so that is that. So again, let's wrap this up here. Our 3 stars will be back next week when we try to have more of a normal show. This was a very long show here. We talked to a lot of people in the chat. But anyway, ways to get a hold of us: digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email. Or on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And if you would like to support the show, and we really appreciate if you would, over on Patreon, patreon.com/digitaltodice. For just a couple of bucks a month, you can help us keep it, mostly for the storage of the old podcast is what it is, because that's starting to really take up some space with 278 episodes. And for $5 a month, you can come into our Discord and chat with us there in the whole bit. So
yeah, we have some nice chat in there.
yeah, we have some good times in our Discord. I
Yep.
really enjoy that. So
I
anyway,
hope Andrew posts his results in that 1800s league.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's kind of fun following some of the products that people in there. It
I
really
love
is.
it.
It's like a fine-tuned version of Facebook. It's really kind of fine-tuned down with a handful of people, and it's really kind of fun. So anyway, so thanks for coming by, Vin. Thanks for joining me again.
Thank you. Always good to hang out with you, buddy.
Good to have you back on the show here. And we will talk to everybody later. Ooh, this was a long one. Good night, everyone.